So do you do it through
No.
YouTube right now or OBS?
I'm doing it through StreamYard, and it will automatically do YouTube. I think we're good. Oh yeah, we're live. What's up,
Are we
everybody?
live?
We got
Are
to
we
go
live?
we got to go super fast. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I am Alex, and I'm joined by an incredibly special guest. I wanted to get this man alone, one-on-one, for a long time, and boy, does he make it difficult. But I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
Alex.
But no, you know him as AndyReloads. We had him on in the incredible, Hogwarts Legacy collaboration we did, and we will be doing more. And this is just a continuation. But I had to bring Andy back on. You guys can, of course, click the link in the description or click his @ sign. It'll take you right to his channel to subscribe to him. A great guy, honestly, an amazing guy, and I love talking to him. And he does amazing content, even beyond just Hogwarts Legacy, which I really like as well. So. Everybody welcome him, and we're here to talk Hogwarts, take your questions, and see where the afternoon for me, night for him, takes us. Andy, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks, mate. I don't think I could follow that outro, that intro at all. It's such a wonderful thing to say, mate. Like, all I can say is right back at you, man. And it's a pleasure to be here. I've been looking forward to just having a chinwag with you after the back of that fantastic stream with all the lads last time. So I am super pumped to talk about a lot of Hogwarts Legacy stuff tonight in particular. I think we've got quite a lot to cover since last time. There's been quite a few things popping up, lots of secrets and lots of theories, I think, to discuss. But I've actually written down quite a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. So
it doesn't surprise me that you're more planned for this than I am, because I have like nothing.
It's also good to actually see some familiar faces in the chat.
Yeah, well,
as
and
well,
let's say, to the Robbie Coltrane thing, RIP to him. That happened obviously just before we went live. I'm sure that'll be brought up throughout the stream. That sucks, man. And I didn't know. Because I don't keep track of every single person on these movies. Somebody messaged me and said, like, this is the 23rd, I think, cast member to have died from the entire series. Yeah, and I mean, I can think of obviously several, but 23, I didn't know that many are gone.
Substantial.
Yeah.
Do you know what, mate? That actually, it doesn't actually feel that long ago since the books and all the films have kind of come out, but then I realized that I'm getting old now. So I'm like, actually, that is quite a hefty amount of time since they've all come out. So it's a real shame, especially Robbie Coltrane. He's very big in Scotland and the UK. Great actor. So yeah,
but his quote, his kind of like final thing that people are kind of like retweeting the stuff about. People will be watching the movie in 50 years, and I won't be here, sadly, but Hagrid will. That he said during that the 20th anniversary. That was powerful. When I was watching it, it's like that guy knows how to channel the emotions and get you. And then that quote it seems like it's going to hold up now that this happened. But not to bring it down. We're here to bring the excitement up. But I figured we would get that stuff, and obviously being Hagrid, right, a huge part of Harry Potter and the Wizarding world. So.
Definitely, mate.
Sad, but like you said, there was a lot that's happened. I want to ask you, and maybe controversial, maybe in a sense, but what in God's name are they doing on Twitter in terms of these announcements? Because the Thursday things are gone. They disappear for like a week. They come back. They do the character profiles. They leave again. And not actually, jabbing them, but do you think it's kind of odd how they've handled talking over the last month or two? Because it has been different than what it sounded like. They were going to be very consistent, and they're kind of all over the place right now.
I think that's a really great question, mate. And to be honest with you, I don't think that they exactly know. I don't mean that in a mean way. What I mean is that they've obviously got. I think they're planning a big, massive gameplay showcase, quite frankly. And I remember Chandler quite kindly said on Twitter, managing people's expectations was like, hey, listen, we all know that you want to see gameplay. Okay, we know that, and we are working hard to get it. And I think that's awesome, but I don't think that they're going to release any sort of gameplay until after God of War. Quite frankly, I'd be super surprised if they did, because I think we're now kind of into that.
I think Gotham Knights is the reason, but God of War's
God
of War, I believe, based off of size. Gotham Knights, I believe, because it's the same company. You know what I mean? That's why I would think that.
That's a really good point, mate. Of course, yeah. So you wouldn't want to cannibalize both of your franchises. Let's keep Gotham Knights in the sunlight right now. Let's get that hype. In actual fact, I was walking to the shops earlier, and I saw Gotham Knights plastered on
Oh,
a
it's everywhere.
lovely, yeah, double decker red bus. So I think that is their focus right now, and it would
Yeah,
make sense for them not to kind of like, hey, okay, so that's really great for Gotham Knights, but let's go and drop some awesome gameplay for Hogwarts
yeah,
Legacy and get everybody hyped up. Yeah, I
yeah,
just don't think that makes sense from a business point of view. So I think in that interim, which is what we're in right now, I think
yeah,
that they don't want to kind of not release anything, but they
yeah.
don't want to release anything which is like substantial enough to kind of
Right. That's exact. Yeah,
to take the sunlight away from Gotham Knights. And then obviously you could look at God of War as well
totally.
coming up. That is going to take the front and center kind of
Yeah,
stage piece for everybody's attention. When
for
it
sure.
comes to
Yeah,
single player games. So I think that's probably why it's kind of like, oh, what do we do now? Do we just kind of cool down a little bit,
right,
and then just kind of plan for the next months and the kind of lead up? I think that's
right.
probably what they're doing behind the scenes. A bit of guesswork there, but that would make
Yeah. No,
sense to me, to
I
be honest with you.
totally. That's what I've been saying. I said when they did the character profiles, I think, or the whatever you want to call. I don't know what people are, the terminology
Oh
for it.
yeah,
People are
the
saying.
companion things, yeah.
Yeah, like the descriptions of the characters. But I remember saying in a video, like literally word for word, where it's like I feel like they want to give us stuff, but they can't give too much, and they, like you said,
Right.
they don't want to disappear. So they're
That's
kind
for
of
sure.
left in this thing where they're like, well, what can we do? Like,
Yeah.
well, you can show 10 seconds of the Forbidden Forest. Yeah, like and it's stuff that honestly most people, and we've talked about this a lot. Like the community is awesome, and they're deep in it. But most games that if they ever try to do stuff like this, people could care less about most
Right.
of the things that Hogwarts has done the last 2 months. It's not
For sure.
important. Most of it is not important. And that's
I completely
okay,
agree.
because like you said, the goal is to kind of keep it alive, basically, to keep the
Yeah.
discourse going. Maybe they don't trust us enough that we can keep it going just on YouTube. But no, they keep it on Instagram, kind of promote that, and then
For sure.
eventually hit the big wave. But yeah, that's where I'm at. They don't want to disappear, but they can't. They're not ready, or Gotham Knights, or God of War, or
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Pokemon. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
like end of November, beginning December, when
Sure.
stuff starts to cool off, would be the right time.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's probably that time frame you just mentioned there would be like a perfect
Yeah,
release date for full gameplay, right? So you're
yeah,
you're in the lead up to Christmas. I don't know about any of you guys in chat, but I certainly see the Harry Potter and Wizarding World franchise as kind of like Christmas based, right?
yes,
So
yes,
whenever I kind of read Harry Potter or watch the films, it's always Christmas orientated for me. So I would say in the run up to the holiday season, let's drop some big crescendo showcase gameplay on the par of state of play, and we'll talk about more kind of gameplay things. I think
yeah,
in tonight that we want to see,
yeah,
but I think that would make sense because then you've kind of ridden the wave of Gotham Knights. God of War is kind of out of the way. People perhaps completed it and made content on it, and
right.
now it's time to get hyped over Christmas, over the holiday season for Hogwarts Legacy. Let's get some more pre-orders in, and then that's business wise, and then let's start the year off strong as kind of like a company. That's just
Yeah,
what I would think. But I wouldn't be surprised on that, by the way, that we don't see kind of like these small trailers that they've kind of come accustomed to doing, so
right.
your Dark Arts trailer, I thought that was really great,
Yeah,
so I wouldn't put it past them to kind of like do something similar like that, 1.5 minutes, because that keeps the community, that adds a little bit of fuel to the community, allows us to make some content, some
right.
theories, have a chat.
Well, literally, we
Everyone,
could make. I mean, it seems like us group, we can make things on anything. You could literally. I'm trying to think. What was the thing? They did something right before the characters that was super small. It was
which
the
one?
tips, I guess, the tips in the field guide were, I
For
think,
sure.
again, to a normal game, that really wouldn't have been anything. But to us, it was like, ooh, 4 spells. We get confirmation of spells.
Yeah, exactly, and it's like, right, time to make a video on that. Can't wait to talk about that. Yeah, for sure. No, you're absolutely spot on there, mate. Absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
But I think while we're on the topic of gameplay, like
Yeah.
I think that's a good segue to talk about that kind of now. Like
Yeah.
what would you, let's say we're going to get this big state of play gameplay trailer. Channel's already confirmed they're working on this gameplay trailer. It's coming. What would you like to see as kind of like a fan in this trailer,
Yeah.
which is kind of saying, hey, it's all Hogwarts, it's all magical, I'm going to play it anyway, but what's going to get you like,
I'm
oh
telling you, I think it
yes.
has to be a side quest. I really think you just give us just a run of the mill side quest. Not maybe not even the whole thing. You give us part of it. To be honest, I would like it. And I kind of go back and forth, and maybe you can answer this. Like the next time we see it, or if we see an extended look, should it be inside Hogwarts or the other stuff? And
For sure.
I kind of go back and forth because I think they'll do Hogwarts, and I think that's probably the best decision. But then part of me is like, well, maybe we want to see stuff that's outside. But I mean, Hogwarts is the main draw. That's kind of my thing.
Right.
It's such
Yeah.
and we have seen so much of it, but extended gameplay, look, we haven't. So I really think a side quest, we talk to somebody in the school, we go around, and there can be cuts to it. It doesn't have to be exactly seamless, but even like I think too, as you've covered Assassin's Creed, I think maybe it was Valhalla. I mean, they've done really good, like 20-30 minute extended things when they announced the game, like at E3 and stuff, and they can show quite a few different features of the game in long batches, like 5 minutes. Let's just do ship stuff, and then 5 minutes we're gonna storm the fort. And I mean, they've done really well, and that's kind of how I think of it. Show us some conversation, show us fighting, show the inventory, just show a bunch of different things that you'll naturally do in a side quest. And that's you don't really have to do anything else to me.
No, I completely agree with you, mate. I think what we have seen so far in the gameplay that we have seen is kind of like the UI has disappeared. The screen it's not there, right? So we see these wonderful spells and combat, and I want to talk about a little bit of combat in a bit. But just on what you said there, Alex, about Assassin's Creed Valhalla and their showcases, they've been doing that for years in the run up to the game, so they kind of know, I think, well in advance what people and players want to see in their showcases when it comes to gameplay. But with that said, I do think that on that same level, I would love to see Hogwarts Legacy do something different as well. So I would like to see, hey, stealth. They know stealth's going to be in the game. It's in the talent trees right now.
Yeah.
You can cast a disillusionment charm on yourself. Actually, in the room of requirement, there's an invisibility potion brewing. I went back and was doing some editing, and that's going to be a consumable. Obviously, it's going to turn you invisible. And stealth's obviously going to play a big part, because I imagine that they want players who don't want to play as aggressively, or they want to sneak around the Hogwarts castle, and they want to, work their way past people. And I would like to see 5 or 10 minutes of that in play. We've only seen a clip at the moment, I believe, of the disillusionment charm, and then Precipicus Totalis, which is, the body binding curse, locks everything together, disabled, and then carried on. I think it was about 5 or 10 seconds, actually. There was three NPCs in that room. But I would like to see a few more minutes of that. That would be great. I'd also like to see some actual gameplay and utility of these unforgivable curses if we do decide to do the dark arts, right? I want to see how they work. Is it just in a cutscene? Is it only in certain storylines that we actually come to it and be like, hey, okay, so now you've got the option?
What do you think? I think it's gonna be pretty limited, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna be walking around Hogwarts being like Avada Kedavra, Crucio, Imperio. I just don't think it's going to happen, man. Like I don't think so. But what I do think is that it's going to be limited, perhaps not to cutscenes, but I think it's probably going to be a finisher, maybe, and it will only be applicable to certain mobs, and also only after certain criteria has been filled. So I'll use Ghost of Tsushima as an example. As the game, you can go into this if nobody's played it, you can go into this ghost stance if you kill enough people, and then if you don't take enough damage. So I think it's killed 7 or 8 people. You fill up your bar, and then you can press your triggers on your PlayStation controller, and then you just go into ghost mode, and you can essentially just one shot. I think it's three mobs, 3 NPCs. I could see something like that happening for the finishers in the game. So, the ancient lightning spell coming down. And I could also, and for the other ones that we've seen, and also perhaps for the Crucio or Avada Kedavra. So there has to be certain criteria that needs to be filled in the game. So for us, it'll be like, let's say deflect and stun, I don't know, 10 enemies in a row without taking damage of a spell. That fills up your bar, and then you can use your special per se. And then you can choose, because they said you don't have to engage the dark arts if you don't want to. So, I'll go dark arts personally. I want to see what it's like. I want to see it, mate. I want to see. I mean, I'm really impressed that a company's actually doing this. It's always been quite vanilla, hasn't it, in many respects? So I want to see what that's like. I think that's how they do it. Or they could just surprise us and be like, hey, you could just bind this to Square on your PlayStation controller and just start chucking it around. But I'm excited to hear more about that. So we've got stealth, we've got, I think, just general combat. One thing that I would like to get your opinion on, mate, actually, is like maybe the upgrade system when it comes to kind of like robes or wands,
Yeah.
or I know we can upgrade our robes, but do you have any kind of thoughts on like maybe like certain stats we can change in the wand, or I don't know, like
Well,
it's a
the
weapon,
wand
isn't it? Like,
I've always struggled, right? Because I've always thought of like even the physical look of it. What would you actually be able to change? And the answer probably is not much, right? Because you can't, you wouldn't be able
yeah,
to actually change the wand, but some sort of grip or like a gemstone or something, right? And when I think of maybe changing a grip of the wand, maybe that the only thing I could probably think they could tie it to, well, I guess you could of course tie it to power, right? Where you do like more damage.
mm,
They could do it to
yeah,
cooldown for spells. I'd imagine
right,
that's something, whether it's an ability that you unlock with skill tree, or if you get a legendary grip or whatever, that
yeah.
it takes 50% less time, right,
You
for
know,
it to cool down, something like
I
that. Is I don't really know what else you could do with the wand.
I think you've just got me thinking, actually, mate. Because we were speaking about God of War just before we
Yeah,
hopped on.
that's what I
I
was thinking
think
with the yeah
maybe the Leviathan axe, where
yeah
it kind of keeps the same aesthetic, but you can kind
yeah.
of like pop in your runes or upgrades,
That's what I'm thinking.
and maybe so perhaps we keep the aesthetic of the wand that we are kind of like, the wand chooses us, right?
Right. Yeah.
And this is the one, or we, whatever in the game we customize it and we say, hey, I want this one. Um, so I can imagine it being that way, and then we would then upgrade perhaps the traits of the wand, because I remember watching the state of play recently, actually, and it went to the customization panel, and I think there was the traits, upgrades, and appearance, I believe, are the 3 tabs that we saw on there. Now,
Yeah.
the reason why I'm asking about the wand is because that got me thinking that on the traits panel, there is a wizard kind of with a robe over his leg, but he's also holding a wand. So
Yeah.
if I'm honest, I'm thinking that, okay, that's where we're going to go. And let's say we can upgrade the traits of our specific wand, which will, let's say, increase spell power, stunning spell power by
Yeah.
plus 50, or
Right.
perhaps, like, increases like the time spent, or I should say increases, your speed of unlocking doors using Alohomora, which hasn't been confirmed yet, by the way. But let's say it is, then, instead of casting for 5-10 seconds, it only takes 2 seconds. I don't know. So, and then I think after the traits, we move on to the upgrades. That's when it comes to kind of like the robes and stuff. I think that's perhaps what we
Yeah.
would then look at, kind of this, because this is an RPG game, and you're going to have
Yeah.
to have some sort of leveling like that in the game.
Right.
It's not good enough just to be in this kind of game and just run along with the robe for the whole game and just cast spells which do the exact same damage. Like, that's
Right.
fine, but that's not the game that they're creating.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we'll
It
have
always
a
gets
lot
me in
of
an odd spot because like, in the olden days, and even it still happens now, where certain outfits will get you better stuff, but they like look awful. And it's like, well, I really prefer the look of this old one.
right.
And that's when like that transmog kind of stuff
Yes.
yeah. And Gotham
Yes.
Knights is doing it. The thing
Yeah.
is, I feel like if Hogwarts was doing something like that, they would say it by now. But yet again, we really don't know anything about the abilities
We
of
don't. Yeah.
so they could just all in one go talk
I
about how things level up, how you can increase things, and that there is some sort of transmog. Because that's the thing with me is I really don't experiment with looks like at all. I just kind of just hit
right.
X and go through it. But and if I like a robe, I'm most likely playing the whole game, with that robe.
For sure. For sure. I totally get you, man. I do think that transmog is going to be in the game. I think that third panel is the appearance panel, and that's we're going to be able to transmog because of the pre-order bonuses that have already been offered. So we've got the dark arts robe, I believe. We've got the Kelpie robe, these different masks and stuff. I think it would be very silly to just have these pre-order bonuses as cosmetics, and then it's like, hey, so enjoy your cosmetics, but like, they're not very good, but you can wear them and but you're not going to get too good stats from them. So I think it is just the transmog feature will be there in game, to be honest with you. I'd be really surprised if it's not. I'd be really surprised if it's not.
It still feels like a newer thing. Maybe I just don't play the right kinds of games, but like the Assassin, what was
wasn't
was
it
Assassin's
wasn't in
Creed that had it?
Mate, they've had it, but because it's been for Assassin's Creed, that it's different studios making different games. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, they didn't have it on launch, and people weren't very happy about it. So it took a significant amount of time for that to come in.
Because Gotham Knights was the first time I learned about it, and it could have maybe even been you or somebody close that said like it's not new, and I knew it wasn't new, but for Gotham Knights, it was the first time that it was a game I covered so much, and I
Sure.
was like, I don't know what a transmog is, and so I had to kind of like figure it out.
Yeah.
But to me, it just feels like this newer kind of thing we haven't seen in too many games.
I think it was just going off PC. I think it came in with World of Warcraft actually. Like
Oh, okay, that
transmogrification
makes
was like
sense.
the actual name. So it was in these massive MMOs, and now it's
Yeah,
just kind of like filtered, like permeated
yeah,
into the RPGs. Because I think, which is actually really interesting, because obviously there's no microtransactions in this game. So one of the main reasons why, in my honest opinion, why transmog is made available in these RPGs is
yeah.
obviously for cosmetic looks, but mainly because it was encouraging people to buy different kind of
Yes,
skins on their
yeah,
store, and then be like, oh hey, you can transmog it, by the way. So
yeah.
that's but there's no MTX here, so maybe we don't get transmog. I don't know, but I think we will. I think
Yeah.
we will. I think we will, but we're just gonna have to wait and see, to be honest with you.
I saw this. This is directly to you. I commented on one of your latest videos on things Hogwarts could learn from the old games on
Oh yeah,
PS2.
Daniel. Yeah.
Uh,
um
what do you think? What do you think? So, like, and this is a thing that I
Folio
honestly
Bruce, I
lack
agree.
because I know I play. I'll leave this up just in case.
Sure.
I've played the old games, but here and there, and I played them when I was literally a kid, like 7, 8, 9. I don't even remember which games I played. I can remember
Sure.
like the Deathly Hallows, like the really bad ones that
Mm.
were like more recent. But there are some cool things from these games historically that people look to. So do you have any of those that you would say
Sure.
are better or that they should borrow from?
I think the Folio Bruti, is it? I think it's, sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly, mate. Is it Danielle or Daniela? But I remember your comment, and it was such a good comment for those watching, where Daniela, I'm really sorry, mate. You're gonna have to
One of
phonetic. I'm
them.
really well. I'm so sorry. I feel very ignorant here, and I hate pronouncing names incorrectly. Please phonetically tell me in the chat. But you actually replied with some really great actual key points, and also corrections, because I got a few things wrong, which I really appreciated on the older games. And I haven't played them in many years, but I do recall a lot of some of the features in there, because I absolutely rinsed those games when, back in the day. But in regard to your question about the kind of Folio Bruti, for those people who are kind of haven't really looked at this field guide book, or really not sure what it kind of is, Hogwarts Legacy teased, I think it was last week or perhaps the week before, I'm not 100% sure. And it was just this kind of like cool little tip book that you will be able to, I think you activate in game. You're allowed to bring it in game. And I think Hogwarts Chandler said, correct me if I'm wrong here, mate, but words to the effect of kind of like, it's a fun way to showcase what's around Hogwarts, and like encourage you to go and kind of like check out some new places, and perhaps look at some new stuff. And that kind of reminded me in the video I recently made about that Folio Bruti book, where in the older games, it had your potions and beasts in it, and it was acted like kind of a codex. And you would, let's say, come across things in the world, and then it would, give you the full rundown and details on what that kind of is. And that's actually, that kind of mechanic has actually occurred in a lot of the recent RPG games. Like, I hate to consistently reference Assassin's Creed, but honestly, I think it is like there's a lot of comparisons there. It's the most recent big massive RPG AAA title, which is open world. Like, you play as anyway, but they use a codex system in there as well, where you come across something in game, perhaps fleetingly, but then it's stored away in that codex, right? So, and there's a huge amount of lore in this game. So I honestly could see myself opening up this book, looking at, all these beasts that I've perhaps run past or engaged with, or all these enemies, or these certain characters in the game, or these certain potions, and then kind of reading a little bit more, let's say, how to make them, what resources do I need, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, where can they be found, and for such a franchise like this, which is so heavily involved and engaged in the lore, I think it would just make sense for that to happen. That actually brings me, sorry, I'm kind of going on a little bit here, but I think that was a really great question there. Daniel, did you, so it's
right here,
Daniele, I'm Italian. Dan, cheers, mate. Dan is perfect. Thank you. Right. Okay. We'll just go with Dan. So yeah, Dan, that was a really great question. And we actually saw in the State of Play trailer, I think it's 6 or 7 months ago now, mate, actually. But I've been looking through some footage recently, and we've actually seen them in-game menu system already. Okay. And I've written this down before we jumped on, because this is something that I kind of wanted to get your opinion on.
Yeah.
And the first one at the top of the screen, in actual fact, if any of you watching are interested to know what this is, if you go to 8 minutes 15 on the state of play trailer, that's 8 minutes 15, you'll be, and pause it, it'll be the talent tree. You'll be able to see at the top the actual menu of Hogwarts Legacy. And I think that's really important. I think actually that's been really overlooked, quite to be honest with you, because it actually shows a lot of what's actually going to be involved in the game. So first you have the menu is the character. So the first character screen. Now that is where I think that is where you're going to be able to change your robes, change your wand, shoes, gloves, whatever you wish to kind of switch in or switch out. So let's say you collect something in your inventory. Well, then you can go into your character pane, and then that's when you're going to be able to look at your stats and then switch in and out. In actual fact, next to the character menu at the top, there's also infantry. So that kind of speaks for itself. You're going to go into there and you'll be able to drop down and see everything that you've looted in the game, right? And then you can kind of decide to equip it or whatnot. Then if we move across to talents, talents we've already seen. I believe at the moment we've got stealth, core, and room of requirement. Now, on the room of requirement, I went frame by frame recently, and you actually have to complete room of requirement specific missions to actually upgrade your room of requirement. It's like if you pause the frame, I've actually put the timestamp here as well. I think it's 11:14. If you're interested, anyone's got that up, then you'll be able to see like the quest log on the room of requirement. What that says to us is that you're going to have specific quests, perhaps even daily quests in a game. If you haven't played an RPG game before,
I think I may have just figured it out.
Yes, here we go. Nice one, man. This is awesome. I'm a stream noob, by the way. Like,
Me too.
My second. So, well, that's really great. So, yeah, okay. So we've got talents there, but yeah, room of requirement. I think it's the one on the right. That's with Deke, isn't it? The far right one here. So there's only 8 at the moment. I don't know if that's going to be fully what we're going to see, like in terms of upgrades for actual, the room of requirement here, but I think we may have more in the game, but that we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, so you're going to have to complete quests to actually upgrade it, and then I think this is the talent system in the room of requirement where it says, okay, so in our room of requirement, what we can do is we can grow potions, we can make potions, we can grow herbs and plants, and we can look after our magical creatures. So these talents that we want to spend it on are going to be specific to those things. So what that will be, in my opinion, is like, okay, so I've just leveled up. I'm going to get a talent point. I'm going to put it in the room of requirement because I absolutely love playing in the room of requirement. I'm going to go into that talent tree there with Deke, and I'm going to be like, oh, it's going to be a talent which is like increase your mandrakes by 2. So you collect 2 mandrakes instead of 1. It'll be something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I can see. And the same with the stealth and the core talents there. Stealth will be like, if you put, let's say, your talent skills into the stealth tree, it will be like increase your disillusionment charm by an extra 5 or 10 seconds, meaning that you'll be able to stay stealthed for an extra 5 or 10 seconds. So that's how it's going to work. The next one across there is collections. I'm probably going to come back to that in a second, because the one after that is challenges. Now, in the state of play trailer, I overlooked this. The dude who's like narrating, he's like, you'll be able to collect challenges. Or you'll be able to complete challenges in the game. Haha, wonderful. And at that point, it's when the character's doing the Revelio charm and collecting the paper into the book.
Yeah.
What I honestly think challenges are, from what they've said, it's these things you can do in game. I think it will be like these flying papers. We've already seen them in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You chase the floating paper around the game, and then once you get to the end, you capture it, and that's going to give you like a tattoo scheme or something that you can actually use yourself, right? So it will be some sort of buff or benefit. And I think that'll be one challenge. One challenge will be like collect or Revelio all of the hidden papers, in Hogwarts. That'll be one challenge, and there'll be like 25 of them. And then on another challenge, it'll be like, we actually saw in the Gryffindor common room that there's a snitch flying around. Like, so if you guys go and watch the Gryffindor common room video, at the end, when the dude looks over the banister, he's like, whoa, this place is awesome. I absolutely love it. Like, I love it as well. But like down by the fire, you'll see like a little snitch floating around. And in the state of play trailer as well, when you walk into the Gryffindor common room, you also see another snitch bobbing around. So the point I'm making is another challenge here. It'll be like, collect all of the snitches in Hogwarts, and then you'll get a reward for doing so. Like you'll get like a, I don't think I know the firebolt wasn't created back then, but you'll get some like cool broom or something which you can use, right? Which will be like, oh, well done for collecting all of the snitches in the game. As a reward, we're going to give you a cosmetic, awesome Quidditch broom with like chudley cannons embossed on the side. So that's what I see these challenges as, is these fun things that like you can do in and around the game that you don't have to do if you don't want to. It'll be another challenge will be like, stun 25 dark wizards and something, and it will be a daily challenge or something like that. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
I'm talking a lot here.
No,
but
it's
I'm
your
really
show, and you go through the rest of them.
But I just think that we can get so much out of this.
This
panel,
is an overlooked one.
Yeah,
I
for
remember
sure.
when this happened. This was something I kind of I didn't go nearly as in depth as you, but I remember literally as soon as the state of play was over. You look at like the newspaper, you see the year and all that stuff. Like there were some things that stood out, but I remember live, seeing this, and I was like, I'm gonna stop there later, right? Because there's you could see all the top things, and there's quite a bit to go off of there too.
And I agree. And if you look at that as well, one thing we haven't really discussed is the level. There's always a level.
I was
system.
just about to ask. I was literally just about to say the level. I was going to ask you, just kind of throw it out there. So I was thinking, how far along? And I was thinking, well, you look at them, 5 out of 14, 1 out of 7. So probably pretty early. But do you think 50 levels would be too? A lot of games do actually do 50, but that kind of seems too high.
Do we have any mathematicians in the chat, by the way, who can do some quick multiplication on those talents? Because I think if you look at it's like 14 plus 7, and there's 21, 38, 42. Yeah, 50. So that's 50.
Oh,
nice
shoot.
one. Nice one out. Yeah. So I reckon then what we can deduce from there is that there is 50 levels. And the reason why we're saying that is because if you were to, every time you level up, you get an extra talent point. And then that talent point can then be spent in all of these, talent trees.
Does that
right?
work though? Because don't they have more than 12 that they've bought? 6, 10, 12, 15. They've bought 15 things. Unless you wait, you unlock maybe 3 of them, you already start with 1 unlocked. Because some games do.
Yeah.
I wonder which 3 they would do that for then.
Or maybe it's the kind of like developers who have unlimited access and they're just like, oh, for showcase, we'll just because actually I saw that, because like in the actual room of requirement, we'll talk about this in a little bit more actually detail, is one of the currencies that you have to kind of like build stuff in the room of requirement. And we'll get to that frame in a minute. Actually, I think it's really cool to just see on screen, but you actually have to pay for these things by moonstones. Now, moonstones are just kind of like this normal medium gem, like in the Wizarding world. I think it's been used in a couple of films. I can't remember exactly for. Actually, I think Mural, like Weasley's Aunt Weasley, Muriel, she's got like a moonstone gemstone in her tiara or something like that. Oh, Ben, there he is, the legend. Hello, mate. Also, Marcus, I've just seen you in chat as well. He's another legend, really top guy. Really great to see you guys. Really great to see you in the chat. Also, does he? Nice. Really awesome. And everybody else, by the way, in the chat. I think me and Alex here, I think we're getting carried away with the fairies a little bit, but I just want to say it's really great to see all of you guys in the chat, like not ignoring you at all. And Cal, great to see you as well, mate. So familiar faces here. It's awesome. Anyway, back to this here, because after obviously we've got past this, we've talked about the talents here, the core talents and whatnot. But I think it'll be level 50. And then if we look at the map as well, obviously that I think that kind of speaks for itself. But Outpost, I don't know what that would be apart from in RPG games with a lot of storyline. And if you go to different places, it happened in Valhalla as well. After you complete like a storyline, they send you letters, which when you return to your kind of like a household or whatever, you can then read the letter and they kind of go, oh, hey, thanks very much for helping me out.
Do you think it's a collection of the collectible written pieces in the game? Is that what you're getting?
I don't know. I don't know. I think Outpost, I think it would probably be storyline orientated. But what is Outpost used for? And that's just for delivering post, right?
Yeah.
So I don't really know why it would be so important to have that menu.
Unless
have it on the menu.
Well, I was going to say, unless it's connected to the map, a map is right next to it, like a fast travel thing. But
yeah,
maybe it's where you turn. Well, it could be you collect things and you turn them in those. But I don't know why you need a tab for that. Like almost like active things that you can still turn in. Like I'm just looking at, but then it's quests. Outpost just seems off to have that.
I know, dude. Like this is my thought process as well. I think Okay, I've just had an epiphany. All right. Actually, maybe not. No, maybe not, because that's PlayStation centric. Let me explain my kind of thinking here when I thought
Okay.
Outpost. We've been told that we'll be able to trade, and we're being told that we'll be able to kind of like establish a shop in Hogsmeade. It wouldn't make sense to have the Outpost up there just for those players. I think that would be wrong. But
Yeah.
I think Outpost could be a way of kind of delivering commerce or of sorts, you know, or perhaps some sort of in-game trading system where, you know, there's timers on things, like, and things would be then delivered to you, or extra resources. You know, perhaps Outpost is a way of your owls delivering, you know, the plants and potions that you grow in the room of requirement if you don't have to manually pick it up.
Right.
Maybe your owl, if you have an owl, your owl can just fly down there, pick that up, and be like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
you've got Outpost.
You know what, man? That could be it. That sells me almost right there. That could very potentially be it.
Because like it wouldn't. We'll get more to the room requirement in a second, man, because I'm really interested to hear some of what the chat has to say and also your opinion on it. But I think, just looking at it recently again, there's so much going on in that room of requirement, and there's so many small timers, and that is in plants, and that's potion making, and it's a little bit like the Farmville app, like, or you know, where you have to kind of plant all your plants, and then after, you know, on the mobile game, I don't know if any of you guys ever played that, you know, Clash of Clans.
This one's an interesting thought here.
What messages from companions? A great one, DJ. Like, awesome. I think that could be, maybe we're out and about gallivanting, you know, exploring the world as we will, right? And we haven't been to class in about 3 weeks in game in game time. And one of your companions like, yo, you need to come to Charms class.
Honestly,
right now.
man, that could be it too, because I mean, it takes place over a year. You could get letters from the ministry and your bank statements, and you know, all this just random.
Yeah, for sure.
There is a lot of letters and stuff that you get. I mean, even just the idea of dropping off mail to like the students, it could be that, to have a whole tab for, well, the whole tab would be, like I said, to kind of chronicle all of these written pieces that you receive. That I feel like maybe they're onto it. It could be that.
But I think it's significant enough to have its own section. It's significant enough, because it's not about saying like, oh, okay, here's some Outpost. You know, you need. It's not like a notification popping up on your screen saying, hey, you need to go to the owlery, or you need to go to. In actual fact, I think there'll be small mini owleries dotted around the world where you can receive post. Because otherwise, why would you have owl post up there? I just think that it's like, hey, look, you need to go and check it out. But I also think that there's something more to that menu as well. I really do. I think it's not just a notification system. I think there'll be some sort of engagement in that. But that surely, by the way, you know, that confirms to us that we have our own owl in game, right? Surely, you know, like, you know, maybe that's the way we can customize our own owl. I don't know if that's going too far, but maybe that, you know, or I know they said no co-op, it's a single player game, but I'd love in the future to be able to kind of like, you know, and get, maybe that's a conversation from another time, but you could like certainly look at some sort of system like that as well. Encal says, by the way, that the room of requirement will be our safe house. I think you're absolutely right, dude. I think that's going to be where a lot of kind of like game management takes place, like, and a lot of upgrades take place. Like I said, I had a look at it earlier, and there's just so much going on there in terms of like you choosing the specific potion stations, like, because there's about 5 or 6 of them. It's kind of like it's really weird seeing this in many respects in like an RPG AAA game, like when I was reviewing it, man, because like it's like designing your own Sims room in like certain areres, like, and I wouldn't expect that from a game, to be honest, especially in the menagerie as well.
It's taking the timedness of like Dragon Age or Assassin's Creed. They've done it many times, but Dragon Age is actually one that pops up immediately in my mind. And then also, like you said, making it where its placement is important too. Yeah, that's pretty.
It's the depth, actually. Like, you know, I'm a big fan of what they've shown so far, don't get me wrong, and I really do think that it's quite clear here the developers just love this game, and pouring their heart and soul into it, you know, and we're gonna have a great time regardless. But you know, just to see that level of attention of detail, I think is really encouraging at this stage, because even though we'll get to it in a sec, but there's certain platforms where you can decide what things that you can put there. When I was looking at it recently, and there's a whole currency system with moonstones
Do you
as
want to?
well.
Do you know the time?
Should we have a look at it? Like,
Yeah.
let me just have a quick. Did I put it on here? It might be. Yeah, go to 1140. 1140. I think, mate, around there, because that's the moonstones. Actually, just stop there, mate. I think because
it doesn't tell me the stupid time on the screen, which is dumb. But yeah, it's around this range.
It's around. If we just look at that, hold on. What's that? Our post is like a message board. I'd be interested if you could choose to reply to those NPCs in different ways.
Yeah,
I think
just completely ignore somebody would be sweet.
No, I mean that's it. It's like, hey, can you come and help me out? No, negative. I'm done in that region. I ain't coming back.
Yeah.
I also think actually that's got me thinking, Feathers, that I think it may be a daily quest system. We have them in Assassin's Creed as the last RPG open world game that I can honestly keep referencing. Apologies for that, but it's true. You know, you can log in every day and you can complete quests and you get rewards for doing so. Yeah. And I perhaps think that is the case. It could be the owl post, the owl board, as Feather says as well, where, you know, your daily quests and your weekly quests arrive and they're like saying, hey, okay, so you need to go and kill or incapacitate, let's say 10 enemies today with the Mandrake. You know, that'll be one of your daily quests and it'll be in the owl post and it'll be a contract which you accept. And then let's say you go and complete it, then it'll be like, hey, thanks for doing that. Yeah. That's really helped us out. Here's a reward of moonstones, and the moonstones are the currency what you can use to upgrade in the room of requirement, as we're seeing here. In actual fact, I don't know if that is a moonstone right in front of us on the screen here. Yeah. If you go to it being kind of like brewed, if you can go to like 11:15, mate, I just want to like show people if we can. 11:15.
It doesn't tell me the time until I move it, so I just have to move it first. 11:15.
11:50. Oh yeah, actually, we could just go through this actually, mate. If you keep going, I'd say, because there's a couple things here which like I want to kind of talk to you. It
looks beautiful. I mean, look at the place.
It does. It does. But if you look at this, mate, it's easy, I think, to kind of like just look at the things. I say the tables that and plant tables that have been installed here. But if you actually look beneath those tables on the floor, that is the kind of area which is what we're restricted to in terms of building. So that is, and further on in the trailer, you'll see that where you'll be able to, if we just, carry on going forward, mate, because I did clock this earlier. There you go. So see on the floor there, you've got that circle, right? So when we actually first walk into the room of requirement, I imagine that we're going to have a very empty room here. Yeah. and if you look, this is a great, you paused it perfectly, because this is what I was looking at earlier when I was kind of thinking of talking about this in a video, because it says here on the right hand side, it says T-shaped potion station, a T-shaped table with 3 burners to brew potions. Okay, so that looks like our standard brewing potion table, which is our basic one. But if you also look at the bottom there, it says style scientific T-shaped potion station, and I believe there's 3 or so upgrades there. Yeah. And even if you look below your plus icon, maybe people can see that better, it says change color. And you can rotate it as well. So there's either further customization to actually changing your potion station, which to me, I know it sounds very silly to say like, oh, you can change the color of your potion station. I mean, yeah, it's pretty rudimentary, but like that's pretty cool as far as kind of in-game stuff goes. But also on the right-hand side here, it says potion station budget. And this is what we were talking about earlier, Al. It says progress room of requirement missions to increase the budget, right? So what room of requirement missions are we going to be we're going to be having to do here, and how is that going to kind of like increase the budget? Because it looks like, and when I said about developer currency, if you look at the Moonstone, it's like maxed out 999 out of 40. So obviously some developer who's kind of recording this is like, hey, I'm going to take all of the Moonstones for myself here, fair enough. But like that's really interesting, because I think we're either going to gather moonstones as kind of like a currency, or like it's going to be something which is going to drop off enemies. Like, it in lore, it's that kind of rubbishy medium kind of gemstone, and it will just be like, okay, great job for doing this dungeon, great job for killing all these people. Okay, here's 20 moonstones, and you use that to go back to your room of requirement, and that's when you're going to upgrade your potion station, because that when you upgrade your potion station, you're going to get more potions. They're either going to be better, they're going to be, more effective in combat. So I think there's a massive ecosystem here as well, which is why when I went back and looked at this, I was a little bit like, this has been really thought out. Like, this is all kind of being connected. I haven't seen this in I don't mean to be melodramatic or anything. I genuinely can't remember last time I saw it in like this kind of RPG game where you can customize this space. And it's kind of bit unique. And we haven't even talked about the menagerie, which is, there seems to be 2 sections here where we've got the room of requirement, but then we've also got that outside section as well. I
was about to say that. I want to go. And
carry on, mate. Sorry.
I was going to say, yeah.
If you also go on, sorry.
I was just one of the things too is even when you get like the rewards for the quest. I know you were talking about how would you get moonstones. I've kind of gone back and I guess to me it probably depends on how rare it is, right? Because it could be something that just drops off enemies, or it could be something that when you complete the quest, it gives you 10,000 experience and 40 moonstones, something like that.
Right, for sure. But also on that moonstone, you see the icon of it there, that thumbnail, that is the icon of it, and it's complete. The actual brazier or the kind of like platform just to the left of that tea station potion, the one on fire.
Yeah.
Earlier on, when you were kind of paused on that clip, I thought that it was refining a moonstone. I don't know what time that was, but I thought that may be a way for us to kind of like generate moonstones.
Yeah.
I don't know, just because of the thumbnail matching up there. I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you what clip that was, mate. Maybe we'll go back and try and find it later.
Yeah.
But it was the one with the 2 minutes on it, the 2-minute countdown.
It's like that everything is active. everything's moving around.
For sure.
Even in that the first clip when you're walking up, or right, like right here.
Yeah.
You just have the water jug, whatever, jumping up and down.
If you look as well, actually, can you go back a couple seconds, mate? You're doing a grand job, by the way. This is
my
awesome.
first time.
It's great, mate. I'm engaged. I'm loving this. Ideas are flowing.
It's even candles here too. There's candles,
dude. I was just about to point out behind those candles, right to the left and to the right. Can you guys see that in chat as well? They look like portals to me, or some sort of kind of like.
They do.
Look at them. The thematic design is different. We've got kind of a blue darkness on the left. I don't know. It looks like kind of weirwood or something.
It's definitely more blue. And this one looks. This one reminds me of the game called Scorn that comes out today. Just kind of like it looks very deathly,
druidic in many respects, doesn't it? Yeah. What? So that's quite interesting, because if you think about it this way, right in front of us, if we step through that kind of greenhouse into our menagerie, that's taking us into that different world where we can custom. We'll have a look at that in a second, right? But we're going to be able to have our magical creatures there. It's a little bit like Newt Scamander and Fantastic Beasts, where he's got everything in there. So on the left and the right hand side, why would it not make sense to have an equivalent, some sort of world building there, or perhaps other animals which perhaps favor those kind of environments that we would perhaps be able to collect in some way? I don't know. Or perhaps it just takes us somewhere completely different. I don't know if anyone's got anything in the lore off the top of my dome. I can't honestly think of any way where you just walk into like a different area entirely. I just it's very.
I want to know if it's going to be seamless or not, because
for sure
newer technology.
But just looking at that, I mean, I think there's several portals there, to be honest with you. But let's carry on, mate. Let's go through here, because there's some other things that I saw earlier. Let's actually hold it there. You see on the left-hand side, this may not shock anyone, but obviously we can collect stuff there. I think it's important, because in many respects, after you'll see as we go forward, there's a lot of timers on these plants. There's timers literally everywhere. So that means that you've got, and it actually shows us, you can go and plant a I wrote it down. We'll have a look at it in a second. It's some sort of cabbage. What's it called? I can't bloody remember what I've called it. But
did any this thing?
Chinese chomping cabbage. It takes 25. We'll have a look at it in a sec. Well, it's the one in the corner. It takes 25 minutes to grow, when it's released, it will try and bite people. So basically, you're going to be able to grow these, and we've already seen the mandrakes in combat, and I can't remember the other ones. And you're going to be able to grow these kind of consumables, which are going to help you in combat. So obviously you're going to have to come back to this room of requirement after your timer's popped up, which is back to what the thing we were talking about, the outpost, weren't we, mate? Where we were like, oh, maybe the outpost just delivers our consumables if we don't go back for a while.
It seems to be kind of a unanimous. Ben said it, a couple others said it. It seems to be a thing for different beasts and creatures. Ben said the moon calves. That's those two portals up there.
Ben, that is a great idea. Like the moon calves. I want to talk about moon calves in detail because like I'm fascinated with them. In actual fact, I recorded a video about it, and the moon calf. For those of you guys in chat who don't know, it's a very shy creature, and it only comes out at the full moon. And after they drop their dung, they do their business. If it's not collected before the sunrise in the morning, then it loses all of its magical properties. But if it is collected before sunrise, then it can act as this insane fertilizer for plants. And of course, here we are, we're growing plants in the room of requirement. So we would collect this fertilizer and we would then apply it to our plants so they would increase the time. Yeah, exactly, Damien. We can use the fertilizer to increase the time of the plants. Now, we're like, oh, where'd you get this fertilizer? The fertilizer is actually shown in this trailer. I'm not kidding. Like, it literally is shown for half a second. So, Al, can you just very slowly? It's in the corner that we're walking to right now. Like, I spotted this the other day. Keep going, mate. Keep going. It past this. Just keep playing it because it will pop up. I'll tell you when to stop. The invisibility potion's there, by the way. That's cool. So after we interact with this Chinese chomping cabbage, so we're going to plant it here, or the venomous. And then it's going to pop up and say 24 minutes. Okay. If we watch the pan here, stop there. Oh, fertilizer, left-hand side. Ahoy! I'm getting excited about fertilizer on this stream. Here we go. But that fertilizer there, surely, that's going to be part of the moon calves, which what Ben has like top knowledge, mate. I don't know why, that makes sense. It looks like a moon calf's hanging out in moonlight up there. They're hanging out in constant moonlight. Oh, mate, you're getting spammed.
I got it.
Oh, he's on it. He's like, ban hammer, get out of here. We're talking about fertilizer. Get lost. Love it. Anyway, but of course, that would make sense to have that biome up there. And
man, I don't know if I've watched this so many times. I don't think I've ever once looked to the left in that scene to see it. Yeah, I've always been focused on the 24-minute, just like kind of center focus.
Yeah, of course. But like, I think that's a cheeky little pan from them there, because up in that top part, as Ben says, that looks like moonlight biome to me. And if they're constantly in moonlight, then they're constantly going to be, excusing my French, everybody, but crapping everywhere. So, right, they're going to be giving us a lot of fertilizer, and the fertilizer's right next to that section. So perhaps we run in there, pick up the fertilizer, pick up the dung, pop it in the fertilizer. We get our fertilizer. And then we put it on our plants, and the plants increase, by rapidly. So we don't have to wait 25 minutes for this Chinese chomping cabbage. We can just lob the fertilizer on, and it drops in like 2 minutes, and then we can get the consumable quickly. I think that makes sense. Also, by the way, I don't know if any of you guys have watched this scene before. If you look at the right-hand side here on the table, there's fudge flies, and there's just to the can you? There's fudge flies, which is like next to the book on the table. Yeah. And then to the left of that, by the candlesticks, there's also chocolate frogs. I believe chocolate frogs cards weren't created until 1924, but I didn't even think chocolate frogs.
Well, we know they've messed up. And I don't know if you and I had talked about that Troy thing. I'm gonna try to remember that because it does.
Oh, the cannons,
Yeah, the can. Yeah, it does seem like they have honestly made mistakes. So that is something.
I think that's fair, man. I think that's fair.
It's definitely fair. It's just something to be aware of, that for sure. People, not everything is like a perfect Easter egg. Sometimes they literally just messed up, and they need to be called on. Is all.
Do you know what? With that chocolate frog, though, I would be totally happy for that to be kind of like a lawbreaker and in the game.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like all the other games, like you collect chocolate frog cards and stuff like that. It's like a big part of like the lore. You get cool wizards on there. I also think that would work perfectly in the collection tab on our menu that we showed earlier. Like perfect. Like, hey, you collect you've collected 50 chocolate frog cards. You need to collect 5 more, whatever it is. So I think that would totally make sense
This is
as
cool.
well.
You're putting yourself into a box here. James says it's covered with Merlin, and you farming.
Oh my god, I'm the fertilizer guy. Right. So whenever you got honestly, right? Okay. So when you guys play this game, and when you go into that biome and you see the moon calves, and then you're collecting the dung, I want you to think of me. Okay. I want you to think of me. All right. I'm the fertilizer guy. Oh, James is here. What a legend. Great to see you, man.
The middle picture to the left this one looks like a family photo.
Oh,
yes,
dude,
this is the first time I've honestly
nice.
looked at there's a thing up here that kind of looks like mystical, like something
Dude,
float.
I kind of theorized, right, that
Yeah.
was the lake where Dumbledore and Harry disapparated to, and that's where Salazar Slytherin's locket is located, because Voldemort's popped it there with the Inferi, and also I think that's just a cool little Easter egg there. I don't know if they're going.
Maybe I'm just stupid, which is probably fair. But the Slytherin banners. Do we know what house he's in this gameplay? Does it match?
It looks like Gryffindor, mate. I think it's the Gryffindor
That's what I thought.
robes.
Well, that's why I didn't want to sound stupid, because I thought he was in Gryffindor, but there's Slytherin banners. So
obviously we can kind of like customize the colors of the, so I don't know. It's interesting. But let's go forward in this clip.
Keep going.
James,
you should have started from the beginning.
Great to see you, man. We're having a deep dive in here. Going a bit wild. Also, actually, when we first went into the room of requirement, we were actually joined by Deacon Mrs. Weasley, Professor Weasley. It looks like people that for those people who don't know, in the Autodesk presentation, she matches up with what the Avalanche have called her. So it looks like that we find this room of requirement with Professor Weasley as well. It's actually further on, mate. I think it's when further back. It's when the room of requirement title just pops up. I don't know. I think you're quite close, actually.
I think it's right here, right after this thing.
Because I saw it earlier, and it's quite hard to miss, because there you go, on the left-hand side. Yeah. There you go. There she is. Okay. Yeah, so obviously we've entered with Deke and her as well. She's been shown to have that kind of that field guide book that in her hands in the Autodesk presentation. So I think this is another companion that we're going to have in game alongside Professor Fig, because I've seen Professor Fig we've all seen, but it's quite hard to tell on the state of gameplay. I can't remember what time, but you can see him with you firing off spells. So obviously they come with you as companions. I would really love to talk to you about companions and get everyone's opinion in the chat in a little bit, to be honest with you, because I've got some theories that I've been losing my mind over. Nice. But on the menagerie, mate, can we just shoot forward again to when we get out inside? So this is the biome. So I think by just watching what we've discussed now, I think we have 3 biomes, and thanks to Ben, I think one of them is obviously going to be for the moon calves, and then when we get other magical creatures, that'll be the other one. That's just guesswork. So here, look at I don't know if we can you go back a little bit, mate? I'm not sure if it pops. No, it doesn't, does it?
I think there was they'll do more.
Oh, for sure. This is just the cottage, but again, it's purchased with moonstones,
right.
And I think that just reaffirms to me that moonstones is going to be like a huge currency for this part of the game, for this mechanic of the game. I think we're obviously going to have Canuts, galleons, sickles, as the canutes, or however you'd like to pronounce it. As you can see here, back at the vendor. I think that's just going to be the world currency for purchasing consumables. But when it actually comes to the room of requirement, moonstones is going to be where it's at. And I don't think we'll be able to purchase moonstones from any of these vendors, because otherwise you could just log in, purchase the moonstones, log back out, refresh, and then they'll have fresh stock again and just continually farm moonstones that way. But I really do think that moonstones is going to be the one.
I thought there was one other scene where you're outside, but maybe not.
I
could have sworn there was one more time where you were outside. Maybe it's just this.
I'm not sure, mate. On the promotional art for this menagerie part, there's actually a phoenix in the air, I think. So I think it's going to be entirely possible that we'll be able to get a phoenix as well. I actually think Fawkes the Phoenix was alive at this time. to be honest with you. Obviously immortal, but I believe, Dumbledore's alive at this time and stuff, but I don't think he's kind of met Fawkes at that time. Anyway, the point that I'm making is I think we'll see a Phoenix in this game, to be honest, quite frankly. And I think that would be super cool because they've got loads of magical properties, their Tears Hill and all that kind of stuff. So, anyway, should we actually, I think perhaps is a good time while we're on the State of Play trailer to talk about companions, mate.
Yes.
And off the back of that,
get to the section.
The field guide, because I've got some ideas, but I do appreciate that I've been just like, mate, I've been getting carried away by fertilizer and the room of requirement, man. So I think, I want to give you a little bit of a breather here and everybody else. But do you like, as far as companions go, do you have, oh, that was it, mate.
I thought it was here, wasn't it?
Well, we'll come back. Yeah, that was it. The Grap Horn. My actual theory on companions, by the way, I'm just going to say this out now. Okay. I think that Natsai Onai, the Gryffindor companion, teaches us to ride magical creatures.
I agree with you. I made a video on that.
Did you actually? Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, in that case, I don't want to steal.
No, you didn't know. Great minds.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, so here, let me give my pitch, and we'll see how much you agree with. Right. So,
sure, man.
At first, with Sebastian, it almost makes it seem like they're going to give you each spells. But after seeing Natsai's description and also this stuff of what it looks like, I think they're just going to be tools to get you introduced to doing something. And hers is mounting things. Now, here's my question for you. Okay, but here's where I got caught up. Maybe you know the secret answer here. So I thought literally the exact same thing. She'll be your introduction to mounting. She may just be your introduction to mounting a hippogriff because you don't have to do those quests. So do you think they would? This is where I got caught up. Is if you don't do her quest, there's no way you can still not ever mount anything because mounting just seems like such an important feature. So maybe she's just a specific creature, and then you can mount stuff separate from her that'll be taught to you. I just don't know how to get by that specific hook.
So I think I haven't seen that video, mate, but you're gonna have to link it me after because I completely agree with you, completely. I think that all of these companion quests, excluding the Ravenclaw, and we'll talk about that one in a second, because I think the Ravenclaw one, there is a reason why it hasn't been shown, and that's because it's instrumental in the story some way. Because if they were to show it, then we'd be like, oh, okay, perhaps, whatever. Anyway, so with the Natsai one, and being from Africa, and I think that's like they have the most animagus, so most wizards and witches that can actually turn into animals there. It's a very kind of common thing in the world they have there. So they have an affinity to nature and animals on that continent. So if you also remember back in the first reveal trailer, I think it was 2 years ago, you can actually see Natsai Onai patting a Grap Horn on the on the top of its head. So she's obviously really comfortable around these big creatures. And at the time, the Grap Horns, I believe, were also extinct. So they're pretty kind of like skeptical, I believe, of wizards at the time, because they're just these poachers are literally just farming Grap Horns for their horns, because they also have a lot of magical properties that are used in potions and anti-venoms and stuff. Not anti-venoms, but whatever. They're important, right? So these Grap Horns are kind of pretty aggressive to wizard kind at the time. And I think it's pretty awesome to see a wizard obviously comfortable or touching that Grap Horn. There's obviously an infinity there. So I think that's important. I also think that, the scene that we saw in the Avalanche trailer and also in the State of Play trailer here with Natsai racing in to that kind of fortress after the hippogriff, and what that looks like to me is poachers.
The fact that this was in that Autodesk thing tells me this is very early on. This is maybe one of the first quests you do with her. And it's now, and this is an important thing. I just want to, not to cut us off, but just to throw this in, wouldn't Poppy make more sense for the beast?
Yes.
My theory with her is she's like the fantastic beast that you can use in battle. She's your introduction to those. Whereas Natsai is just the mounting. Like specifically, she will teach you to get on it and ride. And Poppy will teach you that you can use these creatures to fight humans because she doesn't even like people. That's what I think she'll be used for.
I would love to kind of go over with you guys in the chat as well, and you, Al, as well, about Poppy in a second, because I've also got some ideas about that. But I agree. I think she's going to be the
Just
fantastic.
to throw that out there, because I was thinking that too, because they are kind of close and they both deal with creatures. So you could interchange them. Maybe Poppy would, but I get the sense she's going to teach you to fly, to be honest.
For sure. So on this scene here, she's obviously, described as being bold and seeking justice. To me, just being told what her character is, and from the snippets that we've been shown so far, she's seeing a creature in distress. Where from the Autodesk presentation, our character's gone high wing, and she's like, "Oh, you know that hippogriff?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I do. Like, I reckon it's probably from Beast Class or something." And she's like, "Okay, well, that hippogriff's in a lot of distress, and I want to help, because I want to seek justice, because these poachers are treating this hippogriff poorly." So it matches up with her personality from what we've been told. So she's just charged in there, bold Gryffindor as you do, head first, straight into the door to kind of sort this thing out. I think after that Autodesk scene, Natsai runs through that door, the door closes on us, and we go, "Oh, we're gonna have to find another way out." And the actual screen of that Autodesk scene, your character looks to the side. So I think there's going to be some parkour in this game, just off piece there. Anyway, so I think this quest line is the hippogriff flying quest line, because Chandler Wood also confirmed on Twitter a few months ago that the Onyx hippogriff, which is a cosmetic skin that you can get for the pre-order, you'll only be able to get that after you complete the quest in game to do so. So I think that this is the hippogriff quest, and you don't have to do it if you don't want to, because flying's already in the game. They've already told us that broom flight is going to be in the game. You're going to learn it in broom class, and they've shown us loads of clips of us just like flying around or what have you. They also say in the FAQs that you'll be able to mount and tame some magical creatures, which doesn't mean just one. We've seen a lot of hippogriffs at the moment as well, right? So, there's also that Thestral pre-order cosmetic skin. And I think that as soon as you complete this magical hippogriff learning to fly quest, which is basically you and Natsai heading into this tower, heading into this fortress, killing all the poachers, or stunning them, whatever, freeing hippogriff, you hop on its back and you fly away, Harry Potter-esque kind of stuff that we all love, right? That's when you're going to be like, "Hey, you unlock the magical creature hippogriff, because you've after you've stunned all of these terrible poachers, you've kind of done the bowing, and you get to experience that in the game. That's going to be super cool, like Harry does in the films, right? And and obviously the developers would want that. And you fly away and you learn how to fly hippogriff. So then it's like, okay, cool. So you can now fly this magical creature hippogriff. You can now change the skin of it to the onyx. I believe that's the correct pronunciation. And you can also, because you pre-ordered, you don't have to fly a hippogriff. You can also fly a Thestral if you wanted, but it's the same mechanic, right? So, and back onto the point that you mentioned, Al, because I really do agree with this, mate. I think that it's like an add-on in the game. It's like, you don't have to do it. If you don't want to fly hippogriff, you don't want to do this side quest, this side companion quest, that's cool. Like, you can still fly in the game if you want to, because you're gonna do the broom quest. That's totally cool.
That's right, man. It's got to be something that you have options for. Maybe that's actually a counter that Poppy can't do the fantastic, because that seems like a very critical. You need that skill.
So on the Poppy thing, mate, on a roll here. I'm absolutely loving this chat. I've got an absolute pound. My sinuses are killing me, pounding, but I'm loving this chat. So, can you do me a favor, mate, and just go all the way to the start? I think it's the start of the trailer. We actually see the centaur, or maybe not start. Keep scrolling forward, mate, until you see. Keep going. Yeah, there you go. Go back a second. All right. So if you can pause that, go back a bit there. We see Poppy with our character with the centaurs. I genuinely think this is her companion quest, because we then see the more centaur actually right after this. If you play it, with no volume on, well, you can, but the centaur goes, "What are you doing here, humans?" Right now, we know Forbidden Forest has been teased heavily. It recently was teased heavily in on
they
Twitter.
just did the ASMR for it too, like the 10-second one.
So we can go in the Forbidden Forest. I think that Poppy is so aggrieved by all the treatment of these poachers, and she wants to help. So she's then taken our companion and said, hey, we're going to go into the Forbidden Forest, and we're going to get rid of all these traps. We're going to look for poachers, and we're going to try and save these magical creatures. Like, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I think that that's when you go into the Forbidden Forest, and then we get surrounded by centaurs who are really skeptical of wizard kind anyway. And I think this whole companion quest is us literally experiencing and building a relationship with centaurs. I honestly think that, because in the Order of the Phoenix, this scene actually quite mirrors Dolores Umbridge being surrounded and then carried off, right? So the relationship between centaurs and wizard kind has been like not very good for a very long time. Like, there's a lot of ignorant people, and I think perhaps on both sides you could argue, right? And I think this would be a really great companion quest to actually show players, for us to experience in game, to kind of like actually befriend centaurs, learn about them as creatures, and also learn about all of these other magical creatures that are in the Forbidden Forest. Now, the reward for doing so, I think that you'll be able to kind of tame and capture certain magical creatures that you wouldn't otherwise do after completing this companion kind. And that would be Mooncast, because I don't know, maybe we can all get Mooncast, but let's say Poppy's got or Foopas or whatever. Poppy's got this affinity for magical creatures, and the whole companion being rewarded is that you can bring these certain magical creatures back into your menagerie, which is then going to produce a lot of fertilizer for your room of requirement. Okay, so it's all coming full circle here. So I think, in short, dark spells, like these are all add-ons. These companion quests are add-ons to the game. You're going to be able to cast spells in game, but if you take Sebastian's quest line, you can cast dark spells in certain scenarios, like throughout the game. So that's your reward for doing that. For Natsai, you're gonna be able to fly magical creatures, and I also think you'll be able to ride that Graphorn as well. So it'll be a Hippogriff and a Graphorn. You'll be able to ride the Graphorn on the ground and the Hippogriff in the air, but you can still fly brims if you want to. Right. Then with the Hufflepuff companion, I think Poppy, I think that's when you'll be able to learn to specifically tame some magical creatures as a reward, or perhaps get some sort of consumable from the centaurs as a kind of reward. Which will then help you in the room of requirement for your consumables and your potion making, and then the Ravenclaw one. I've talked too much. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I was going to say, do you think then, because now that you're now the more we go on it, I wonder, because you got to think they may give you something immediately, because I would expect, well, a quest line is more than one quest, right? So you can kind of pick it up and keep going. Would they give you something the first quest, and would they also give you something the last quest? Maybe the best one to zero in on for help would be Sebastian. So if Sebastian say gives you Crucio on the first, would he give you Avada Kedavra on the last? But also, if he's the one that teaches you all three, that's three he needs to give you. And I'm only using him because there's a limit to those spells. 3.
Sure.
If he gives you all 3, then maybe these 2 have to give you 3 things. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to build from him.
For sure. I think that would be super cool, because then you could have 3 magical creatures perhaps for completing.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, because I don't know. And I think we've asked this question. How do you get the other 2 spells? If he gives you Crucio, does he give you the other 2? I kind of think he may. I don't know how. Why not?
I think James did a really good video. I watched it recently on kind of like suggesting that the other companions may even give you or teach you those quests. I think Retro did another good video as well about if Poppy's kind of like evil, is she? I know that's kind of an ongoing joke. Do you know what? I think that Chandler and the social media team have got their ears so close to the ground.
They do.
And they know the inside jokes about Poppy.
Yeah.
And I think they purposely released that picture of her looking pretty
she's
like
evil in that picture. She doesn't
evil.
look happy.
I don't know if that's a little Easter egg of being like, we're playing with you kind
of thing.
I think
100%.
She may be evil, but I think they also really know their community well.
Yeah.
And I think that they're probably like, let's play on that evil Poppy kind of like that kind of joke going around right now and see what they all do about it. Yes, Ben, actually I was I wrote this down in like a video I was planning on doing is about unicorns as well, because Poppy, was it Havelock? I think Havelock Sweeting, who was like a magi zoologist who was like born like 200 years before Poppy. They share the same surname, and he was like an expert when it comes to unicorns. There's also like unicorns are known to be in the Forbidden Forest, so at the very least, surely could we get like a little Easter egg, in the Forbidden Forest where we see a unicorn in between the trees, just like we see in the films? I think that would be super sick. I think that would be super awesome. Just want to say, guys, I know we're getting carried away, me and Al, just back and forth here, but like, really appreciate you guys in the chat. Like, I'm just reading some of your comments.
I'm trying to highlight anything. And if you guys want us to talk about something specific, throw direct questions. If you do a super chat, I mean, we'll get to it immediately. But if you throw just questions at us, we'll try to maybe do a rapid fire even towards the end. So yeah, just hit us with whatever. The plan here, I kind of told Andy, there's like the plan normally for all of my live streams is I have a couple things and I can't get too far on my own, and then I rely on the chat for everything else. That's very lazy, but it's what I do. So
for sure. Oh mate, it's great. Actually, what I want to get your opinion on, just off the companions, actually, it's kind of loosely.
And isn't that Poppy with the dragon too? Have we,
dude? I honestly think maybe it's presumptuous for me to say, but I think we'll be able to ride a dragon.
I've predicted, I predicted that for a while. I think we're honestly going to be able to do it. And if it comes in groups of 3 that they teach you, I could see a dragon being like a final thing you unlock once you beat Poppy's quest line.
I think it's going to have to, if it is in the game.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if it would be on Poppy's quest line, purely because let's say that you complete the Poppy's quest line early.
Oh, true.
So are you just going to be stomping around with the Hebridean black dragon? I don't know. Like,
the thing is how much I honestly think they're just going to be skins of each other. You mentioned the Thestral. I am not expecting any vast gameplay differences, and sadly, that may apply to a dragon as well. Like, cool that you're actually going to see you be on this massive beast, clearly in size bigger, but I would not expect going in that we'd be able to like blow fire different than a hippogriff. Like, I think the controls would be, they're not going to add an extra move.
Yeah.
But maybe they would, but I would lean towards they're just skins. And so they function exactly the same.
For sure. I think, listen, I'm not going to be let down if we can't fly a dragon, don't get me wrong, but I think it's been front and center for a lot of these cool previews because like people like dragons, right? And especially with the Fire and Blood Game of Thrones thing going on right now, hey, let's just hop on this cool Hebridean black, let's do it. I'd be well up for that, and it's all within the lore as well. I mean, I don't think that you can tame and fly a dragon in when it comes to Harry Potter and whatnot, but I'd be up for that anyway. Perhaps it's something that they explore. Did any of you see Hogwarts Legacy post about full SM? What? No,
I just checked, so I was late.
I get the link sent into my Discord. I didn't get anything like that. Did they do an oopsie? Were they like, oh my god,
we weren't supposed to be the only one on the planet that knows?
did they delete? Why? I often thought. Go on, Alex. Sorry.
I was gonna say fall ASMR. I honestly think they're gonna do something for Halloween, considering it's a Monday. I really think they could drop some Forbidden Forest music thing. Again, not really a big deal, but people appreciate it. I really could see them doing it on that Monday. This week, they just did the 10-second thing, right? That was the only thing they did. So
I'm with you, dude. I really do think that by not putting something, I don't know, for Halloween would be like an epic fail. Like, it's a big thing in the Wizarding world. And even before Harry Potter was created, you dress up as a witch and wizard or whatever, and you go trick-or-treating. All right. So, it's
I don't know how much they would do. Like, next week is Gotham Knights. So honestly, again, I hate to keep going back to it, but and they are vastly different. But also, even like you notice with Suicide Squad, Kill a Justice League, they've coincidentally taken the whole year off. And I think it's pretty obvious because they're getting out of the way. And there's like synergy between literally the companies. So I'm going into this week expecting like the smallest of small things from Hogwarts, because I just wouldn't think they would step on the toes of. But then the week after, you got one more full week, and then you got that Monday, and that's after Gotham Knights. So I could see them doing fall, Halloween ASMR on that Monday.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then November is the big stuff, whether it's at the end of the month or whatever.
Yeah, I think it. I think it is, mate. I think, as we discussed earlier, if you just join in the chat now, I think that we will get that big kind of state of play gameplay preview end of November after the kind of God of War, Gotham Knights has kind of drifted off, and then into early December, which I believe we were kind of chatting about it a few months ago. Potentially the launch date was the 6th of December. December. So I think that instead of that, I know it wasn't confirmed officially, but they could then say, okay,
it's always going to happen.
yeah. So I think that they've gone, all right, if we're going to push the game back, let's then drop a big gameplay reveal then, because that's the run up to Christmas. Let's get more eyeballs on screens. Let's get people really engaged in the game. Get some more pre-orders going.
Was it last year that they came out around Christmas time and they said, like, have a happy new year, and we'll be back next year to start talking about it. And that definitely was, because I remember seeing the tweet and I was at a movie. So I'm trying to think December movie of last year, but that definitely happened. Sure. And also you have to think about them as people. And this is what I always say in terms of release dates and posts is that you have to remember that whole winter break. They're going to have the break probably.
For sure.
I've seen it as early as like December 15th, 16th. So I know like Insomniac, they give them like a month off. Sony's pretty good to them. So, but I would honestly expect December 18, 19, 20, somewhere in that range. They go quiet. Even Chandler, they'll be scheduled tweets. They'll say happy, Merry Christmas and stuff, but nothing. Yeah. And then they'll come back January 4th, 5th, 6th.
For sure. I think it needs to be done. Like, it's clear that, they've been working hard for so many years. And I honestly, I really do subscribe to the notion that if it needs to be pushed back, it needs to be pushed back. If it needs more work done, fine. That's okay. Sure, it sucks. I would love to be, absolutely smashing this game to pieces over the Christmas period. Like, I really would. Like, I honestly can't. And I'm sure it's the same with everybody in the chat right now. They really can't wait to get into this game. But, if it's not ready, it's not ready. Because when a game, and I don't know if any of you have experienced this, like when a game is broken or it's very buggy and you've paid for it, and then perhaps you can't complete the story, you get irritated, you get frustrated, and they obviously don't want that to happen with their game. And if that's going to happen, or there's a slight chance of that happening, then
I've never thought about the world that this game comes, like, you think about bugs, like it's not like I've never thought about that, but I've never thought of a multiverse where the game comes out and it's like a Bethesda like release where it's just completely broken. That would be this game would get crushed.
Can you imagine? Like, it really would. It's very important that this game releases well. Like, very important, because people just would be furious otherwise. It's very dear to a lot of people, myself included, and you want it to them to do a good job. I want them to succeed, and if it means that they need more time, then so be it. Then I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait, and I'll be grateful for it, because I'd much rather play a game that is really well constructed and they're satisfied with it, because that's going to show through, and that's going to have an effect on me when I play the game. Right, so fair enough, that's fine. But just on the Halloween thing, just while it's in the forefront of my mind, Alex, I really want to talk about, because we discussed it with the lads last time. We kind of like flitted with the idea. I had a little bit more thinking about it, and it's about us summoning Inferi or Inferis. They're not zombies, but they kind of are like zombies, right?
Yeah.
I was wondering, I think it's in the Dark Arts trailer. Could you do me
I'll pull up the Dark Arts trailer.
If you can, mate, that would be great. Because the reason why I say that is because I've been writing a few videos coming up recently, and I was going through that trailer frame by frame. And there's a really interesting part in that trailer in the Dark Arts when it comes to the Inferi, which I would really like to get your opinion on, chat, as well. So I'm looking up here, because, like, honestly, if you were to look at my setup now, it'd be embarrassing. I have like 2 laptops here and here. It's a joke. Anyway, so chat, I would love to hear your opinion on this when Al whips it up for us, because I honestly think that if we progress down this Dark Arts path, there is a potential possibility, and it's obviously speculation from me right now, that we may be able to summon them. Now, okay, mate, so if we can scrub along, if you would be so kind, my man. Thank you. Keep going. Okay, so if you go back to them for a sec, just I I don't know if the Infri here, they're just trying to show that they're docile. Fine, fair enough. My understanding, and I would love someone here to correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that when a dark wizard dies and they have summoned Infri by using necromancy, that spell then ceased to exist. So that means to me that the Infri which were once docile or perhaps ready to engage in whoever had kind of appeared or disturbed them, like we saw in Harry Potter and Dumbledore, and when they were heading for Salazar Slytherin's locket, they kind of rocked up and were like, "Oh, what the hell are you doing?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
But after Voldemort died, my understanding is that all of that Infri would perish. Like the spell would be released, and those corpses would become corpses again. Now, this says to me that if we're entering Salazar Slytherin's dungeon, and there's Infri inside, it says to me that surely someone else has entered this dungeon and they then summoned those Infri, those dead bodies, which means that that dark wizard is still alive, or perhaps someone's inside this tomb, because it looks like to me to get into the tomb, you have to cast Crucio to do so, to pass through it. I don't know, just from what we've seen on the trailer there, or some sort of dark magic to get in. But if it was Salazar Slytherin who cast the Infri, who summoned this Infri, that being his tomb, then like that wouldn't work because the dude's dead. But anyway, so the point that I'm making here is that there's either another dark wizard who has like summoned this Infri, or perhaps we've summoned the Infri and lost control of it by experimenting with dark magic.
Say maybe it could be Sebastian. As you were talking, I was like, it could
for
be
sure.
Yeah,
because like and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is correct, that Infri, they aren't loyal to its master or the person who summoned them. They are really aggressive, and depending upon the power of the witch or wizard who's actually summoned them, they do become aggressive and do turn on their masters per se. So I think, to have a wizard who's experimenting with this kind of magic. By the way, that's why Voldemort kind of like took a boat from the lake, because he wasn't comfortable enough with all those dead bodies. That's my understanding anyway, to protect himself from this Infri. But if we've summoned these Infri in this tomb, this looks like a tomb to me. It looks like catacombs, right? It looks like just an old dungeon, or where you bury lots and lots of people, right? But surely after we summon them, or let's say experiment with summoning these dead bodies here, then two different locations. Yeah, it could be James. Yeah, absolutely. We could lose control, because we do see another dark wizard in this trailer, which it might be them summoning the Infri. And also in another clip in the State of Play trailer, we do see Infri outside that's been perhaps summoned by a dark wizard as well. So that's possible. Now, I want to actually bring you guys' attention a little bit further on the trailer. If you wouldn't mind, Alex, can we just scrub along a little bit? See, that's a dark wizard there. So, maybe that's the case. So perhaps, Sebastian's lost control here. If we carry on going, mate, I want to go to the mountain troll, actually, because, okay, that's just been right there. So if we go back and pause at the mountain troll, that mountain troll has just hit an Infri. Why would, this is my theory here, why would a NPC attack another NPC unless that Infri is being controlled by us and directed at that mountain troll? And I want to bring you back to that kind of quote that Sebastian said, which was like, words to the effect of kind of like, this dark magic or unforgivable curses, if it's going to protect your life, they should be used, they should be allowed. So if we've just discovered this absolutely massive mountain troll popping along, and we've perhaps summoned Infri or what have you to protect us as a kind of getaway, or as a distraction, surely then, I don't know, maybe that's the theory there, that we've summoned them ourselves, and it's kind of like we've kind of directed them at the mountain troll to kind of protect ourselves. I don't know if that's the case, but it just seems really odd to me to actually have this clip, which is a cool clip and everything, but there's no witch or wizard there, like, included. There isn't anything in this mountain troll scene. Like, why would an Infri be attacked, or why would they be attacking each other? Like, where are we as the character in this place?
Yeah, that's not. The only thing I can think of counter to it would be he's just making his way from point A, like walking forward, and he's just destroying anything in his path, and he is moving forward.
For sure.
That's the only. But I agree with you. That's a good theory. That's the only
it's a big stretch. It's a big stretch, like, for sure. I'm not expecting us to then, let's say, learn to summon Infri and then you know, sprint back to Hogwarts with an army of them and just be like, crack on, chaps, you know, enjoy yourselves. Okay. But also, I think that we've seen a lot of Inferi so far.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a cool enemy to have in the game. We saw it in the reveal trailer. We've seen it in the state of play trailer. We've seen it in the Dark Arts trailer. It's also been shown in the Dark Arts themed poster, the wallpaper, with the wizard standing on the rock, and then you've got all that Inferi literally around the wizard. So I'm like, I mean, surely, no, like, I mean, come on, like, is the writing on the wall here? Is it kind of saying like, maybe not? You'll have to wait and see.
When I think of the poster, I think of like the most common themes, or in this case, enemy types you'll be facing in the game. That's So I think like Dementor, like you'll face them, and there'll be like a critical enemy. These the Inferni, there'll be one. Obviously they're hiding, like there is no like Ranrock's not even on any poster, you know. So some of these are completely hidden. But
that's true.
I think it furthers the proof of that Battle of Hogwarts, that the plan is like a Voldemort, round up all of these just factions of enemies and attack Hogwarts with them. And that's why the theme is you're on the mountain looking down, and there is all the. So it's not the leaders. The Rookwood's not there, Ranrock, but it's the people that they're gathering to attack. That's why it's so focused on the poster. That's how I viewed it for a while now.
That's a really great point, mate. You know, I'm probably overthinking it and getting a little bit too excited.
I'd love it. I mean, I'd love to. That'd be sweet. And maybe that's the final thing you get with Sebastian. I don't know if that's the third thing, or maybe again he could teach you the 3 spells. You know, Crucio's here, and I don't know. I just don't know who else would teach you Avada Kedavra at this point.
I don't know. I think that,
like, how would you learn it?
I don't think it's a case of kind of learning. I in many respects, I think like the Crucio spell.
Yeah.
You know, Harry used it against Bellatrix Lestrange. The Half-Blood Prince or Death? I can't remember which one. Anyway, it's in the Ministry. It might be Order of Phoenix, actually.
Yeah,
I think it's probably Order of Phoenix. And in the Ministry, he kind of like it was Order of Phoenix, because she's just killed Sirius Black, his godfather, and he's running out and he's absolutely fuming, as you would be. He's like, I'm not having any of this, and he's like, unforgivable curses. I don't give a shit. I'm using it. I'm using it, and he just he yells out Crucio. And she's obviously taken aback by it because it's obviously hurt her, right? But the thing is, the spell wears off very promptly, very quickly. And that's because you have to be pretty sinister and sadistic you have to want to cause pain. And I think that's what they're touching at with the Crucio spell and the Dark Arts trailer. You have to want to kind of enjoy it. You have to really want to cause this person a crazy amount of pain. You have to want to torture them. And, he didn't do that. So I think that it's not like someone in Hogwarts in Harry's story has said, "Hey, Harry, let me walk you through how the Actually, that's not true, because Mad-Eye Moody did, but it was briefly. He just pointed his wand and said Crucio at that spider. It's not like teaching, you're kind of in a dueling club. I honestly think that what happens is the words that need to be said, and it's all about feeling. And I think what they're trying to get at in this game with the Avada Kedavra and perhaps not the Crucio, but specifically the Avada Kedavra, is that if you're put into this position where your life's in danger and you don't see any other way out, if you know the words and you really want to just in a life and death situation, fight or flight, you're going to fight and you're going to cast that spell. Then it's going to be done that way. Because if you actually mean it and you want to kill this person because you think you're going to be killed, I don't think you're going to get taught otherwise. What I'm trying to say is, I'm thinking all of us know the Avada Kedavra spell. If magic was real, and we're in a life-death situation and someone's coming at us with a massive axe or whatever, you're going to be like, I don't know, maybe that's the first thing that comes to your mind, maybe it's not. And that differs with a lot of different people, how they would react to that situation. And I think that's probably what the developers are trying to do in that kind of situation here. Maybe there's a cutscene. It's like, this goblin's flying towards you. You're low on health. You don't know what to do. You'll have a few options. I don't know. All right, I'm going to actually use the killing curse and see how it goes. I think that's how it happens. But that's just my theory here.
It could be even the idea, you know, how some games have it when you're like super low on health and then things will get buffed or there's like one final move you could press. It could literally be like that. If you're, you know, you level something up enough and you're at the very end of your health and then you can use Avada Kedavra, you have this like burst of adrenaline, you use it and you're back into the fight.
Yeah, and that goes back into what we were talking about Ghost of Tsushima earlier with that kind of like, let's say, you kind of, let's say, dodge or parry a certain amount of spells, and you know, that fills up your power bar.
God of War with the rage meter,
Spartan Rage as well, for sure.
Yeah.
Another great example where, you know, this mechanic is used really well in those games, and it means that you can enjoy that special maneuver that you've chosen to pick, you know, yourself. And I think, you know, like I said, I'm actually really impressed that Hogwarts Legacy are choosing to go down this path and explore it because of all the vanilla games that we've had previously. I think it's really interesting. I think a lot of people, you know, like Star Wars The Old Republic games where you could choose to be, you know, light or dark side. You know, a lot of people engage with that. They like to engage with it and they like to explore things in video games that they wouldn't normally do in real life. So I think this is pretty cool because you know, everyone's kind of like, oh, well, I'll play through in the way that I want to play through, but you're always going to go back and be like, well, let me cruciate this guy. You know, looking over your shoulder, no one else is in the house, and you're just like, cruciate. You know, so so I could see that kind of happening, which I think is really cool. But you know, back to the Infrared thing though. Maybe we can resurrect them, maybe we can't. I don't know. All I know is that the mechanic of resurrection and companions following you around in a limited time in gameplay, like it's been around in games. You can do it. It is possible. So. You know, I wouldn't say it's completely out of the question, but we'll just have to wait and see. You know, we'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Companions are interesting that they took. You know, that was basically the kickoff on Twitter to what you could imagine them doing more of is taking things that we already know and expanding on. Companions is like I wouldn't honestly have thought that that's where you would start. You know, it's just kind of weird. Simply because they're like, you don't have to do it. Like you don't have to talk to any of these people or do. And the thing with that is I just don't really, I think many people will. I don't really know who would completely ignore all of them. You may not do all four. That's probably a statistic in games, right? You give players so many characters. What's the percentage of people that actually do them all? Probably not very high at all, to be fair. So
for sure.
So, you brought up the Ravenclaw thing. Do you think simply the only reason we haven't seen it is because of that? Well, let me ask you though, if it's a story thing, then doesn't that why do they get that special treatment?
Sure. So I think that's a great question, man. My theory on this when it comes to companions, which I've kind of just written in a video, is that the companions themselves, so that being Natsai, Seb, Poppy, and whoever this fourth one is, the house ones. I think that we will come across them in the main storyline. We've seen it in gameplay, like, you know, Natsai was actually with Rookwood in Hogsmeade. That's going to be part of the main storyline. And the other two as well. Seb was in like Underground and Gringotts, I think there's a clip of him, and there's another clip of Poppy, I can't remember where. Anyway, the point that I'm making is that they're going to be part of the main storyline, the core storyline. But you're also going to have these optional side quests that you can do with them individually in your own time. I also think that if you're in Slytherin, Seb's quest is probably going to pop, optional quest is probably going to pop sooner than Natsai's Gryffindor, purely because of house affiliation. That would make sense to me. You know, I also think that these optional side quests, they don't just appear on your screen. I think that they appear at different times throughout the main storyline when you either come in contact with them or not, or, you know, that's a theory. I also think that there's going to be other companions that you can actually bring with you in your gameplay. Like, you don't have to. If you look in the state of play trailer, I'd really encourage you guys to actually go back and have another watch, and you'll notice that you can have Natsai with you just in some combat generally. You've also got Professor Fig. You know, we've seen Mrs. Weasley or Professor Weasley, sorry, presumably Professor Weasley in the room of requirement. You've also got Natsai. We've got Seb in combat as well. So they can come with you as well. They can be an optional and add something to your game. If you played this back to the Star Wars: The Old Republic very swiftly here.
Yeah.
And then Riley, thank you so much for
Thank
supporting. We'll get to your question in a second, mate. Just before it floats out of my head.
Yeah.
I think with these other companions, just like Star Wars: The Old Republic, you could choose a companion to take around with you who would just follow you around in the game.
Yeah.
And there was dozens of different companions that you could choose from, which would actually complement your style of gameplay. So, for example, I play as a Sith Inquisitor, and I could choose to have a tank companion run with me. Now, this tank would absorb all of the aggro and would bring all the attention of all the enemies onto the tank, which means I could stay at range and just ping off my lightning or what have you. I think the same thing will actually apply here to this game. Yeah. And I also think that, there's going to be different companions from different houses that are going to bring different play styles, which will be able to complement your own. So if you like to play stealth, then a certain companion that you decide to befriend in the game is perhaps going to increase your range, reduce the range of your detection of when you're disillusionment or you've drunk the invisibility potion, I guess. Equally, you may get, I actually think that in the storyline and in the Autodesk presentation, there's a reference of Solomon fighting Sebastian as a duel. And in the State of Play trailer, you have Professor Hecate who says, you guys, you're going to blow up my classroom or whatever. Stop messing around. And we see that clip of that blonde-haired Gryffindor. He's actually seen a few times throughout the trailer, and he's also seen on some on promotional art. The point I'm getting at here is I think that's Solomon for one, but I think he's also going to be someone like a big lad. I think he's a Weasley as well, and that you can recruit, who likes getting into duels, who's good in duels. So if you want to play as a combat character, you could then take him with you, and you're going to do more damage in combat. So I don't think that we're going to be restricted to just the 4 house companions. I think we'll be able to recruit and befriend others in the castle, and they'll bring different stats. So you can switch the companions out depending upon the missions and what because each student's better at different magic. So it makes sense that that's applied in the game. So that's my thinking anyway.
Yeah.
When it comes to it.
If Hogwarts developed crossplay later, what would it look like? Also, Sebastian related to Gaunt's through Salazar. The crossplay, so then you'd have to be talking about multiplayer. Man, and it would be cool. And the thing is, like Gotham Knights today dropped the new mode, right? That they're going to do a new mode. And that was like I got super excited, and kind of the response right after that is like, well, you shouldn't be all that shocked because it makes so much sense. And that's the difference between, Gotham Knights, the 2-player co-op, and then just dropping a 4-player mode. That makes a ton of sense. This being such a single-player thing to then doing multiplayer is a much bigger deal. And that's just why I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest with you.
Do you know what? I would come back with that. I don't think it's going to happen now or in the interim. I think it's going to happen perhaps a year or so from now, depending upon the success of the game. The reason why I say
Ghost
that
as an example for that.
Yeah, I think we discussed it last time with the lads, didn't we? I think Ghost would be if you weren't aware, guys, Ghost of Tsushima, after you completed the single player game, you were able to play this other mode, and you were able to actually jump into these kind of dungeons or these like pre-made arenas, and you had to complete things with complete challenges and defend points in it with your co-op with your friends. And they had 4 different classes in there as well, like ranged, combat, samurai, whatever, and you could play the class that you wanted to play, and then you and your teammates, you could just defeat waves of enemies, and you could level up and get new gear. And I think that this game has all the hallmarks and everything there for that to be implemented. I also think with Gotham Knights implementing it in this game and being made by the same company, I think it's going to be a trial of like, okay, what lessons can we be learned from here, and then can we then move that into our main AAA Hogwarts Legacy game? Like, because I think they also to I'm not a developer, and I don't pretend to know like what it takes to I've spoken to lots of developers, great developers, great, they tell me it's a lot of work, so I know it's a lot of work. But it's like the Quidditch game, I managing expectations. Yeah, it sucks that Quidditch isn't going to be in this game, but I totally get it. Like that's like a game within itself. And I think the same thing with multiplayer. let's focus. I think they're saying, let's focus on telling a really good story, which people can get involved in and live out their wizarding dream. We'll see how it goes. And then if people really love it and we make an absolute we pull in bank from it, then it's like, okay, let's do some co-op, let's do some multiplayer, let's do some Quidditch, let's explore that way. So I think down the line.
And one the thing I keep and let's say this to the Carlos R.I.P. Robbie Coltrane. So for those, I know there's some people that jumped in that didn't know he did die. Right, actually, like 30 minutes. They announced it before. Definitely sad. We don't want to pull down the excitement of the stream, but no, I mean, obviously incredible actor and huge part of it. Like I told Andy earlier, 23rd member of the film franchise to die, which is freaking nuts. And sadly, there'll be more, right? I mean, you look at a lot of the professors and stuff, and they're up there. He was one of the younger. I think he was 72. You know, I don't know a lot of the names, but obviously, like the guy who plays Dumbledore, I think he has memory loss issues too. He can't act anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, Michael Gambon. I think.
Yes,
I'm not sure. I think
he can still do movies, but he used to do plays, and he can't literally remember lines anymore. So I mean, these people are they're getting older, and that sucks because they're such an integral part of the entire thing.
Yeah, for sure.
To go to the Quidditch and multiplayer. Just my last thought on that, and I keep going back to it. Selfishly, and I've said this before. Like selfishly, I don't. If it's going to take like a year to do it, I almost selfishly don't want them to and just move on to the next game. That's kind of always been my viewpoint. I mean, and like if you can do it like Ghost, I mean, Ghost is probably the best example, that's out there.
For sure.
But Ghost also seemingly, and then doing the Icky Islands DLC, which nobody saw that coming either, that really pushes Ghost 2 further down. So I mean, you get what you get, and then you have to wait longer. And I guess you're still receiving content. So, I mean, am I going to complain about getting a Quidditch mode like a year later? No. But, then that is going to push the next game by another. It's not necessarily like a one-to-one thing like a year, but it will push the next game.
I agree, man. I think that they haven't said it's a live service game. So for those of you who perhaps haven't played RPG games like this before, open world, or it's the first time dipping your toe in this kind of game, it's not a live service game. It's not a multiplayer game. They've said it's just a single player game. It's a little bit like God of War in many respects, right? It's a single player game, and that's what it's been advertised as. So I hope it's a great game. I hope the story's good enough, but I'm not expecting them to be like, hey, we're going to drop this DLC and we're going to drop this update and this update like every 5 weeks on rotation like they do with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because that's just not what they're set up to do, quite frankly. So I can't see that happening. So to be honest with you, I think what's going to happen is they're going to make a shed load of money from this game.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, the higher ups, the ones who kind of make those decisions are going to be like, okay, so make another one, please. I think
that's what I'm thinking. Because if you do, free up, and that was the other thing with Legends, right? For Ghost of Tsushima, that was free. I'm pretty sure, right? And so it's nuts the value that they gave for just dropping that. And I mean, like Infamous 2 had multiplayer, in terms of designing the thing, but they're not really even known for multiplayer, Insomniac. So
for sure,
Sucker Punch. So it's but that's the thing. Like, would they do it for free? Would they at this point, and you also have to think about how much money they could rake in. Would they give you a Quidditch mode for free? I mean, greed wise, I'm sure they'd want to package that as even a free to play game. Because a free to play game would make them money too.
Do you know what? Like, I was super impressed.
Yeah, Joe, Infamous 2 has multiplayer. It's where you create your you create missions for people to do. It was actually super sweet back in the day. Go ahead, Andy. Sorry.
Nice. Good knowledge. I was actually super surprised that there's no microtransactions in this game. Not in a bad way. Like, I was, wow. The fact that a franchise like this, they know that, and also Warner Brothers' reputation, by the way, I'm just going to say, they like their money. They do. And I think that to not have that in the game was like a bravo, well done. I imagine there was a lot of internal conversations about it. I imagine there's some real solid people in Avalanche Software who kind of put their foot down on that, because I think it would really tarnish kind of what they're going for. It's like, hey, this is a magical, incredible game. you can also spend £10 and get this.
Right.
Yeah.
What happened with Shadow of War from Monolith?
Right.
I mean, that had goodwill, good reception with the first game with Shadow of Mordor, and then they do the second one, and it's looking good, and then a month before, and we know the behind the scenes, it was the Warner Bros. Went to Monolith and said, "You will have this in the game. You will put this in the game," and they're like, "We got a month." And they said, "We'll do it anyway." And I mean that really hurt the game. So
right. So just I mean, Ubisoft in their microtransaction store.
There's another one.
There's another one. They earn over $1 billion on Assassin's Creed Valhalla on microtransactions, skins, cosmetic skins for a single player game. That is a huge amount of money, like an insane amount of money just on their store. Nika, all right, dude, good to see you. What a legend. Anyways, but yeah, with that kind of microtransactions, and a franchise like this, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, a lot of money. Let's just have a kind of conversation about it, because it's business for a lot of people who've put this forward game. It's love and passion for a lot of people, a lot of developers who made this game. There's no question about that. You can see that in every inch of every bit of footage that we've seen, and I love it. And that's what's going to sell this game. It is, quite frankly. However, you're going to have a lot of business-minded people who are going to be looking at their quarterly results and being like, okay, there's a lot of money here, but how can we make some more? And it's like, oh, we haven't monetized this game yet. Well, okay, let's have a look at that right now. So I'm not saying the game will get monetized, not at all. They've clearly made the decision not to do that. However, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised in the future if there's any other extra content that has been produced, that there is some sort of monetary point to it. And the reason I say that is because the collector's edition was pretty horrendous. I'm not going to lie to you. It's really terrible.
And it continues to get one-ups. Like Dead Space announced theirs, and it's got the literal mask. You can get Isaac's freaking mask, which is, and he puts it on, and it's routinely, even post the announcement, all these games that have them. Assassin's Creed Mirage is awesome. So they're just getting crushed by everybody else. Yeah.
It's crazy good, man. Right? Yeah. I was on, I can't, maybe it was Etsy. No, I tell a lie. I think it was on one of the Hogwarts Warner Bros merchandise stores the other day there. I don't know if anyone else has seen this. Okay. But it was £10, £15, which is actually, with the currency rates going on right now, it's about $10 to $15, quite frankly. Okay, so it's the same amount of money, and it for not a handwritten note, but it was a lovely note, a Hogwarts letter, which is personally signed with your name, for $10, $15, which is then delivered in this lovely letter and packaging, and I'm like, okay, you're making a profit on that, no question, right? No question. Otherwise, you wouldn't sell it at that price point. And that's a reasonable price point, and people are willing to pay for it, $10, $15 for that. Right. And it looks really nice. Why is that not in the collector's edition or anything like that? Why is there this big electrical light book? Which it looks quite cool when it spins around, but that's pretty much it for $300, man. We can talk about this I think perhaps we're getting sidetracked, and this stream is not to slate the collector's edition, because I really wanted to buy it, by the way. I really did. I think that Kelpie robe, if you have bought it, by the way, that Kelpie robe looks banging, and you're gonna have a good time with it, don't get me wrong. Okay, I think it looks sick. I really want it, but it's not $300 worth, I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, so anyway, the point is, back to the Warner Bros. Is they've obviously made that collector's edition and gone, yeah, they'll buy it, sell it, ship it.
It's already sold out. Yeah, I mean,
oh, it's sold out. Good job, everyone. High five. So I know there's people there who are like, yeah, we've made some solid cash there, and I obviously business minded. This is what this game is. Let's not kid ourselves. They need to make a profit on it. So maybe down the line these things are implemented, but I'm just glad that they're not on launch. But we'll just have to wait and see, man. We'll just have to wait and see.
It's I mean, and look, I don't mince words. I don't know the kind of relationship that they will ever have with me or I'll ever have with them. But I've always been critical of more of the movie side with Amber Heard and Ezra Miller. I mean, I've said some very strong things with those, but the gaming department is very hit or miss, because they do, for every Shadow of War, they do something good, like with Hawk. And like you said, there has to be these kind of discussions. I'm sure somebody floated it out there because they're not idiots. They know how much Hogwarts is going to make, and they always want more. So maybe they're more. They listen more, right? So somebody at Avalanche did, because again, like I imagine Monolith put their foot down for Shadow of War and they said, we don't care, you're doing it anyway. But they've learned that is going to backfire, and for Hogwarts it would absolutely backfire. Because even the week that they had that week with the collector's edition, that was a very bad week for them. And that
really bad, really bad.
And that was like 10% of if they were to do more like microtransactions, it would be 100 times that. So, yeah, so I do think they get DLC. Honestly, I'm going to stay pretty strong. I don't think it'll have anything multiplayer or Quidditch to do with it. But I do think it'll be like quest lines, and it'll be like you should try to mimic Witcher is what you should do. Do a Witcher 3 style DLC.
I mean, I think it's good to have a wish list, right? I want this, I want multiplayer, I want co-op, I want, all that kind of stuff. But that hasn't been mentioned. It's been clarified so many times, I think, by Chandler. I think it's probably one of the questions he probably answers the most, to be honest with you. It's like, no, there's no multiplayer. There's no multiplayer. Shut up. Shut the hell up. But and I think it's managing expectations in that front, really, because like I'm not expecting multiplayer and I'm not expecting it anytime soon. I'd love it. Don't get me wrong, Alex. I'd love to jump on a stream with you, and also with some of and some of you guys in the chat as well. Some of my friends in the chat. I'd love to jump on a stream and just go do some dungeons with some wizard stuff. Quite candidly.
And it's a way of bringing people together, and they have a community that's honestly bigger than most. So, and not stroking like our ego, but they have people like us that if you do multiplayer, I mean, the community will kind of keep it, as long as it's built well, the community can keep it alive for a very long time. Like you said, like kind of parties where these different YouTubers are playing with each other. I mean, it would be really good.
It'd be sick. Love it.
I imagine for like a second game, maybe like a Horizon, how Horizon wanted multiplayer or co-op, and they kind of kept always pushing it down to like the next game. I imagine it's kind of like that, where they know that people want it, and they know that they probably want it, and they're just finding the right time. And to this is a really cool question, because I've never actually thought about it. I have very little hope that I have hope the game comes out on the Switch. I have little hope that the game comes out before next fall. I think you're getting the game like October, November, December for the Switch next year, which is, I think it's very stupid. That's another thing I'll kind of take a shot at them for. But the next gen, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Nintendo's weird with their console. The next gen Switch has been, or even an update to the Switch has been rumored for the last 2 years. So I feel like Hogwarts will beat it, because Nintendo may just never do it, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, I think that because they have continually not stated when it's coming out, that I just don't see anytime soon.
I look to Life is Strange is one of the worst, and I love Life is Strange, so it's one of the. It pains me to make that the worst example. That game came out, was it last week of January or first week of February, and it came out on Switch the last week of September. So it took.
So there you go. That's a great case study then, isn't it? And especially with like this AAA title, which is going to be pretty demanding, I think, and pretty heavy. Yeah. Like I think it may even take quite longer, because it's going to be hard to run on that thing. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. There was something else that I actually did want to talk about. Is the free casting mechanic in game. We saw it on the field guide book. I don't know if you can bring that up, mate. I'm not sure. It's the one where the Slytherin witch, she like pings a little spell at the like Slytherin underground Black Lake windows. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So because I think that's a really interesting mechanic that I would like to get people's opinion on, and I'd like to hear your opinion on it as well, because I know we haven't seen much gameplay, but we haven't seen gameplay with the UI. Like we haven't seen the lock-on system. We haven't seen, how you target different enemies, or we have seen the prompts on screen, such as the R1s and threading spells together at certain times. But can do you have to just run around this game and wait for the actual trigger to like ping on, right? So
Yeah.
is it a case of it's quite fluid or is it quite rigid? And what I found really interesting about this particular clip, if we can like head forward to, thanks for getting it up, by the way, mate.
Stupid bottom. I may have to just watch the whole thing because I don't know how to get the bottom off of it.
I'm
not advanced.
Try Alt Tab. No, okay, maybe not. No.
Alt Tab just does that.
Oh god, that's terrible. Okay, can you pause it at the right time?
Oh, there we go.
Nice. Haha.
I didn't go.
Right, okay.
Did I go by it already or no?
Yeah, I think you did.
Oh yeah, right,
this one here. So obviously, on the surface, I don't think this is like a crazy clip. You watch it and you're like, oh, that's cool. But I also, there's a couple things here that I think are quite cool to mention.
Yeah.
There's no lock-on system there. It's kind of like you're walking up, and there is like an invisible direction. So let's say we walk up here, we press the square button. So that's what I'm assuming is like the stupefy spell, which would just kind of be the stunning spell, which is kind of like pinging off that window. There's a couple things here for me, which is really interesting. Does that then mean that we can walk around the game and just ping off random spells or anything of that sort? That's the first one. Do we have to lock on to anything? Doesn't look like we do. Secondly, there's also fish, by the way. If you go and have a look at this clip, there's fish slightly moving in the background. Okay, just where that kind of...
Yeah, you can see it, right?
Right, okay. So, right, yeah. So there is underwater life. There's animations of creatures behind that, which says to me that there potentially may be other creatures that we can see through these windows, or perhaps get Easter eggs on.
Yeah,
I'm thinking, you know, the giant squid here. I reckon if we ping that window multiple times, that will prompt an Easter egg where the giant squid will come to the window and then just like, you know, say hello, or let's say mer people rock up and then you can see them. Anyway, the kind of question sorry, mate, I'm getting a bit sidetracked here, but the kind of question here that I want to get your opinion on is this free casting mechanic. Do you think, and I'd like to hear people's opinions in chat, do you think that we can walk around and just freely cast spells quite simply, like we've just seen there, essentially, without locking on?
I'll say the short answer is yes. Let me read these 2 super chats, and I'll get more in depth in it, actually. But I do think the answer is yes. If you're walking around Hogwarts and it's getting late, will you be prompted to go to bed? I think if you get caught, you'll get sent, literally fast travel to your room. That's what I personally think.
Really quickly, I think there's going to be this night and day time travel system where you'll be able to actually go back to your bed, and then it'll be like, hey, you want to wake up at 2:00. So you wake up at 2 a.m, and then you can go out patrolling. And if you do get caught while you're out patrolling, you'll get sent back to your dormitory, and then perhaps, I don't know, you get detention of some sort.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what the punishment is there.
Yeah. And then, sorry, I can't give more, but thanks. Well, thank you. You
Riley,
don't have to give anything, but I really appreciate it. And I saw, it seems like StreamYard doesn't tell me, but Dylan, I did see yours. Dylan gifted 5 memberships to my channel. So firstly, thank you, buddy. And secondly, I don't even know how it doesn't actually show it. So I don't know who you gave those to, because it doesn't tell me that either. But I appreciate it, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks to everybody in the chat who's been really generous. Like, we're just having a good time talking about this game, and it's really great that you guys are all here and having a good time as well. Like, this is so much fun, honestly. I know we're just literally analyzing this bloody window of an underwater game. That's what it's a Friday night here in the UK, and we're looking at this underwater window and we're discussing about animations of fish. Okay, that's what it really is. But let me tell you, it's great fun. So
I do think that, but for a game like this, where it really would be any kind of game with like a weapon, like a projectile, like a gun, or, you know, I don't want to say that word too many times, I guess, for YouTube, but that idea, I think those games generally, well, there's kind of 50-50. Some of them wouldn't let you actually fire a shot if you're not aiming. I feel like this game could just let you kind of do it. But then the issue would be some things are going to react, some things aren't. So there has to kind of be a lock on, unless it's very, very precise of where you're aiming your reticle, you know, with the right analog stick. Because if you shot slightly over to the left at that pillar, you know, nothing's going to happen. So how does it know you're aiming at the right? Then it's pretty sensitive. Then we almost have a Assassin's Creed discussion back in the day when you're trying to jump and he freaking jumps off a cliff and kills himself. Instead, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude, honestly, say no more. Say no more. I know that feeling, that parkour. I'm sure there's some people in the chat as well who play those games and understand the pain, the pain we go through in the latest parkour games.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Central, he will know for sure about the parkour system in those games. That's for sure. I'm interested to see. Do we have any comments about that free casting spell system?
Hey guys, what
I
do
don't
you
know if
think?
anyone-
You think you can just
what-
auto lock or
Oh,
not lock?
Nico says, I think we can cast spells kind of randomly, but maybe they won't do much if you don't actually have a target. I think that's a good point. I think, to be honest with you, you're going to be able to cast certain spells in certain areas.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you won't be able to cast certain spells, and you'll get a malfunction when you try to do so if you're not in the correct area, is what I'm trying to say. So if you're in like a combat area and you've left the Hogwarts grounds, you kind of pass this invisible barrier and it's like, oh, it's game on. It's time to crack on now. You can fight whoever you want to fight, kind of thing. All spells are on the table. As soon as you return to Hogwarts and return to this kind of magical force field, I think that's when it's like you'll get a malfunction on your wand, or certain spells will be kind of blanked out where you just won't be able to cast them. And I think, but equally, I don't know how they must have had these conversations internally. Like, how do you discuss this? Where, well, are we going to allow players to walk down the Hogwarts corridors and just start pinging off Stupefy, Expelliarmus, kind of the Rictus Sempra spell that we saw in this field guide as well, scribbled on. This is a tickling charm.
Have things like this where there's the prompts. That's the tough thing,
dude. I actually wrote about these armillary spheres. They appear, these are the things that you've just seen, like they appear in all the common rooms. They're interactable. They actually appeared in the Chamber of Secrets films as well, in Dumbledore's office. They kind of like help people explore the celestial plane in space and like positions. It's way beyond my pay grade, essentially. Like but for all intents and purposes, you can just look at kind of space and planets and the movements of it. And I believe that has some real kind of significance in the wizarding world, because I believe there's a lot of wizarding scholars who actually do like to try and discover, why is it certain people have affinity with magical powers and other people don't. And I think that's really interesting that they've put these armillary spheres into this game and that they're interactable. I think there's 2 points or 2 potential options here when it comes to these spheres. I think the first one is that it's just a fun collectible, not collectible, but it's like an item. It's a cosmetic item, which is like, oh, you can hit it and spin it with your, I mean, when you actually engage with it, you'll see the wand pop out, so you can kind of spin it around. And then there's a second option for me, where I don't know if it's like, they'll back to the challenges that we saw on that menu earlier. One of the challenges is like interact with or spin, all the armillary spheres.
That's what I'm thinking. There's 30
in the
of
castle.
them in the castle, and you have to spin them all. That's what
you have to spin them all. Yeah, because then otherwise, you'll have to jump into each common room to do that as a challenge. I think that's probably what it is. And it's the same with the snitch. Go ahead, mate.
Have we talked about that? So this girl is a playable. This is your character, right?
Yeah, I believe it's the avatar.
She doesn't have a. Is this the first time we've ever seen anybody without a robe, or am I just making that up?
Who was it? James? It may be Retro. It might even be Ben. I can't remember. It might have been in one of their videos. I think someone may have pointed this out quite correctly. I think it may be James.
Yeah.
I think he did point that out, but I can't remember. I can't recall. But I think that it kind of makes sense that it goes back to that character screen that we saw in the menu as well. Maybe you decide to hide your robes and you just wear the clothes underneath the parkour system. There we go. But yeah, I mean, what's Ben said here, I feel like there will be a few regular spells, almost like regular attacks you could do in a day for 85. Yeah, for sure. I think I'm really interested, and this is why we keep coming back to this. We need to see the next gameplay trailer, and we need to see what the actual mechanics are like in this game. I know there's people out there who don't really care much for that. They just want to play the game. Fair enough. But I'm really interested. Like, can I build a damage build? Can I max out my character and just literally, when I cast a stunning spell, I don't want it just to them to shrug it off like, I want to just be like, okay, you're stunned now. Can I build my character that way with all of these upgrades and traits? These are the kind of questions that I'd love to know. And if so, is that applicable through the wand or just robe upgrades, etc. So Hogwarts Gaming Aries 95, good name. Hogwarts Legacy free cast of spells would ideally equal to games like AC Valhalla, being able to freely swing, shoot weapon purposely. Yeah, for sure. I think on that, I wouldn't be surprised, because if there's, I don't know, perhaps not. Maybe like an autocast system where your wand just automatically does damage. You had it in World of Warcraft, actually. If you got your wand out and then just right-clicked on a target, it would just constantly do damage.
Yeah.
Not sure if that's the case here, but maybe there'll be like a rotational spell. I reckon it's going to be Stupefy, which you can spam, and then you can upgrade the. I think it will do the most damage. So I think that will be our damage dealer.
This one's interesting because it does tie actually into the tips, the Ricta Sempra freely or other impact jinxes. That's one of the things, you know, they've teased the whole that you can prank people. They've teased it about as far as you can go without showing us literally a single thing. Does that make sense? Yeah, I mean,
they know it. They know we'll be onto it. Like, I do think with the Ricta Sempra, the tickling jinx, I honestly think that would be a not to be confused with Sector Sempra, by the way. Which was
when I made the video on that, people were like, "Is that even been invented yet?" And they're like, "You can just freely do it." It's like, no.
No, you can't. You cannot shred people alive, right? That's not in the game. Just to be clear, you can't. Something like Saw, like you just can't be doing that, right? But this Ricta Sempra is a tickling jinx, and I believe Harry used it against Malfoy in the Dueling Club with Gilderoy Lockhart. Malfoy didn't laugh or giggle, but just blasted him back for all sense purposes. Anyway, what I think this jinx is for, I really do think it will have a lot of in-game utility, because I honestly think that you will be able to make people laugh in this game using this spell. And the reason I say that is because on that book, actually, Al, can we skip forward, mate, and like see if we can bring it up on the screen for everybody, just so if they haven't seen it before. Is it? I think it is on this bit. Yeah, it's at the top there. Does it move up a little bit, perhaps, if you keep going a little bit forward? Or no, my bad.
Second,
it's the other one.
It's the second one, though.
Yeah, so at the top there, we've got Petrificus Totalis. Then the next one, which has already been shown in game, the Body Binding Curse, which is going to disable people, which we can use in stealth. We've then got Ricta Sempra. Ricta Sempra is that tickling charm, and I honestly think that we'll be able to use that in stealth as well. I think
that's what when you brought that up, as soon as you said in-game use, I was thinking you could use it to distract, so you can sneak around.
Dude.
Yeah.
Music to my ears, Al. I completely agree with you, mate. Honestly, imagine everyone, just for a second, we cast the Disillusionment Charm on ourselves. That doesn't turn us invisible, by the way. There's a difference between that and the Invisible Potion and Invisibility Cloak. But the Disillusionment Charm, depending upon the strength of the charm, it kind of turns you into a chameleon where you kind of blend in. So if the charm's stronger, I think this will be upgradable in our core talents, by the way, which will increase our stealth and reduce detection for enemies. I honestly think that when we are stealth here, we'll be able to cast that tickling charm, as you said, Ricta Sempra, which is then going to make an enemy start giggling in game, and that's going to then encourage other NPCs in the area to be like, what the hell's this dude? What the hell's he laughing about? Like we're literally guarding the entrance to this badass dungeon here. What the hell's going on? I'm gonna go check that out right now. What's going on? And then that would then draw that NPC away. And then that would allow you to stealth past. I also think it will be one of those spells which you can kind of like cheekily ping and play pranks on in corridors and what have you, just to kind of cast it and then just see someone start laughing. I think that would be funny. And there's also Stupefy at the bottom. So we've got two spells there that have been confirmed in the game. We've just talked about Ricta Sempra. Ridiculous, the Boggart banishing spell. I think that's really interesting, man. And I had a conversation, I think it was with Encal. I don't know if he's still in the chat. He's a really great guy. And I was chatting to him on a recent YouTube video, and he was talking about boggarts and stuff. So if you guys weren't aware what a boggart is, just very briefly, it's kind of like this immortal being that basically takes the form of something that you fear. So like you open it up and it's not alive, essentially. It's like a Dementor. And then it just transforms into something you fear. For me, I really don't like sharks. Like I really hate sharks. Like great white sharks coming out of like the
so
blue.
messy. If they're coming out of the thing, it would get so wet.
That would be my boggart, man. Like I'm not even no bamboozles here. Like I would literally be like, oh, okay. 0 to 100. There we go. And so that would appear for me. But then you have the conundrum in the game of like, how do you actually make that work for your character? Like, I don't know. But I
That's a
think
very single usage, whereas the others not necessarily. That one's a very single usage, like it's just for a one quest. You may learn it. I
for
really
sure.
don't know how you use that often in this game.
Right, right. And I was the same, mate. And Encal, oh, he's still here. Good that you're still here, mate. Hope you're enjoying this chinwag. But I think it was kudos to yourself, mate. I think when we were talking about these boggarts, I think it was yourself, mate. I hope it was. Anyway, you're getting the credit here. And I think you suggested that the boggart itself may actually turn into the enemies or change shape every time we see it, with all of the animations of like enemies that we've already seen and defeated. But the
You think it's
idea
like a
being,
training program thing? Is that what you're?
I can't, dude. I think like, let's say if we get killed by one of those corrupt big massive frogs that we've seen in the state
Yeah,
of play trailer.
yeah.
How about next time we see a boggart, it's the frog? That would be like
Ooh,
an
I see it.
easy way to kind of do that. So every time we're defeated or die by an enemy, the boggart just takes the form of that, and
I
then
love that. I'd
I
love
think
that.
that would
That's a very middle Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War.
right,
It
the
remembers you kind of
legacy.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the legacy kind of system.
Yep.
I believe they've copyrighted that, by the way. So I
It's
don't think they're gonna
it's only them, which is
only
so
them, right?
stupid,
So
but
I
whatever.
know, yeah. Good system though. But anyway, yeah, so I think that's a really cool concept
Yeah, I
because
love that idea.
the boggarts could be hiding in cupboards, they could be hiding in chests around the game.
Yeah.
And you could literally be like, oh boy, another chest, can't wait to see what's in it. And then, the enemy that you've just died from, like,
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes before pops out and you have to defeat them before you can get the loot. I
Yep.
think that's quite a cool concept there,
Oh,
to be
yeah.
honest with you.
I
like,
love that.
For that spell. Polyjuice potion, yes or no? What do you think, Al?
I mean, the theme that they're going with, I think yes. It seems like an integral kind of brewing and mixing and just using things as items. I feel like it's so well known. You know what I mean? That it kind of has
Yeah.
to be.
I agree. I think I was actually doing a little bit of research on this recently, so happens, with the Polyjuice, because was it Retro? I thought Retro may have said it maybe in there. I was watching one of his older videos, really good video. And I think he spoke about it, if memory serves. I'm not sure if he did, maybe not. Anyway, I digress. What I did find though is a very old blog post by this guy called Adrian Ropp, who I believe is still at Avalanche Software, and I believe he's head of story there. And one of the first sentences that he mentions when he's discussing in-game development and gameplay is that, he quoted by saying, well, how is Polyjuice Potion going to work in this game?
Oh my god.
So I mean, why would the head of story not be discussing that if they're, if it's not in the game? And I also think that this is the perfect mechanic. Linda in the chat is spamming, yes, there will be, which is, I like your enthusiasm. I hope it is, but I don't believe it's been officially confirmed. I would love to be proven wrong there. I would love, but I think that's the only kind of snippet that I could like bring out, that I could find, about it officially, the Polyjuice Potion. So I think it's going to be in the game, and I think it's going to be the perfect mechanic that as a recipe we can learn, because remember in the pre-order bonus it said that the Felix Felicis will be a recipe that you can learn. So you're not just going to get the liquid luck into your inventory. You're going to have to learn it. You have to actually brew it yourself, which also opens up to the fact, back to this field guide of all those recipes being in there, right? That, you need to collect this and that to brew it. Anyway, get a bit sidetracked here. But as for Polyjuice Potion, I think it will be a recipe that we need to find in game. It may be in a dungeon somewhere, maybe hidden away somewhere. But I think after we actually learn the recipe, like we see with that Revelio spell, it goes into our field guide book in game. And then we can go into that field guide book and we can look at our potions and say, okay, so these are the consumables and resources that I need to actually make this Polyjuice Potion. All right, I'll go and collect them. I'll go back to my room of requirement. I'll pop it on my potion station. I've got my Polyjuice Potion. All right, consume it. It only lasts for 2 minutes. You head down to the common rooms that you want to go visit, and then you pop in there. That's what I think. That's my honest thoughts. Would you turn that into a shark to me? Yeah. Well, absolutely, mate. Anything for a laugh. Anything for a laugh. There's no question. Oh, what would I turn it into? Oh, right. Oh, Oh God.
Oh God, you put yourself out there by saying your fear.
Oh, it's all out there. What would I
So wait,
turn it into?
and the
I
point
thought
is
you were like,
what,
I'd turn myself into it. I was like,
it's
oh,
to turn it into something that brings you joy, is it, or what is, or
to make it
laughter, right?
laugh. Yeah,
Laughter.
laughter. I'd probably just turn it into a very large goldfish. I think that was bobbing around, quite aimlessly, a bit silly. I think that would work. To be honest with you, I think that does that work for you, Benjamin? I hope it does. I hope it does. Oh, mate, good stuff. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that should we do. Should we do some quick fire questions or something? Because we've been.
Yeah, I was
chatting
gonna.
about-
I wanted to, if you guys want to rapid fire, just random questions. I was trying to get us into like a topic, and then while we're talking about the topic, we can build up the questions. So, if there's anything, Andy and I will do it right now. But you guys, if you want to let us know, any questions you want us to talk about, kind of like rapid fire stuff.
for
Questions that are you on the boat that they are not going to reveal Ravenclaw's companion until
Oh, mate,
game's out?
that is one thing I think we should kind of talk about, and actually, I'd love to hear other people's opinions on this as well. Is that Ravenclaw thing? Because
Yeah.
I do have a theory about it, mate. I'll be honest with you. I do have a theory. I think it's a very loose theory, and
It's subject to change.
I think I'm reaching, to be honest with you, quite frankly. I think I'm reaching. I think it's very speculative. We saw in that Hogsmeade trailer that, and I do think it's the avatar, like it's the pre-order exclusive bonus where we can set up that shop. And but it got me thinking, because it's a Ravenclaw showcase. I think it's the first student we've kind of seen in any one of those trailers where it was clearly a Ravenclaw student. And I think if let's say hypothetically we've got Natsai, who is teaching us how to fly these magical creatures. We've got Poppy, who's kind of teaching us to tame some of these magical creatures that we can bring back to the menagerie, which we can then benefit from in that way. And we're getting some dark art spells, which we wouldn't otherwise use in the game unless we went through Sebastian's storyline. So there's like extra spells there if we want them. So I think, well, what's with the Ravenclaw? Like, I think secrets are really heavy in this game, and I think they're going to be everywhere. I think it's going to take a long time for the community to find absolutely everything, and perhaps there might be stuff that we never find. But I do think that the Marauders map in Hogwarts played like a huge part in the storyline. Really helped Harry, and everybody else who kind of used it, and there was a lot of history with it. Now in Hogwarts Legacy, it hasn't been created then, but I think it would be great to see something that is reminiscent of that or equivalent of that we can perhaps utilize, like secret corridors, secret rooms or other undiscovered things, and perhaps this storyline, is something to do with that in many respects. That's what we get rewarded for doing so. Now, would a Ravenclaw with their high intelligence, get up to mischief and start finding all of these different secret passageways? I think so. I think that they liked, they're well known as being intelligent people who perhaps practice magic that other people shun, and they also, want to push their own capabilities. So I could completely see someone, a Ravenclaw, trying to find absolutely everything this castle has to offer in Hogwarts because they want to prove to themselves that they're smart enough to find it. Right. So I would love to see, like, we just going on a discovery tour or something and finding lots of things like the Chamber of Secrets, for example. That's in Hogwarts. That's there. I think it's even been mentioned by one of the developers, actually. So
this con, actually, you're walking right into it.
Oh, great. In the PlayStation blog post for the Hogwarts Legacy State of Play, Elidora, lovely name, it says exploring a new Chamber of Secrets in Hogwarts or impersonating others with Polyjuice Potion. So Polyjuice Potion confirmed. That's the quote I was looking for. Yes, that was the quote. Elidora, thank you so much. bloody good work. There we go. So yeah, I think that maybe that is something that this fourth companion can show us. But I think it was James Expecto Go who said that the Ravenclaw companion could be our enemy, or like
yes,
like
I saw that theory.
adversary.
Yeah, the theory was rising. I was like, man, I think somebody said it could be like the Malfoy basically to the companion.
Right.
It's like,
how cool would that be?
I never thought of that. Never thought of it.
I think that's a great theory, and I think that kind of makes sense as well, because it hasn't been shown, and perhaps they try and thwart whatever we decide to do during the storyline in the game. Like, I think they are just our kind of like opposite, and maybe we don't learn anything from that companion quest. Perhaps they are the storyline and they become the person that we're fighting against, whatever direction that we decide to choose in this game.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I go back and forth of thinking, they're important because I do agree with you. Like, I don't want to. I'm not taking away from the other three. I do think those three will be in the story, the main story. It's not like they're just for the side stuff. But they all have to be equals. I think. And it can't be too important what this person gives, just like the others, where you can kind of skip over it. And I also think, I guess, the last avenue of why they may not have shown it is simply they don't want to show all 4. So they show 3. Now, I would have done 2 out of the 4, though. I don't know why you would do 3 out of the 4. So, because doing 3 out of 4 does make it seem like you're hiding that one on purpose. If you do half, it's more of the argument from a game marketing, right? Where it's like, we don't want to show you it all, so we're going to show you half of what we have.
Right.
So it's they're in a weird spot where they could go either way.
To be honest with you, I was really expecting our 4th to drop. Like, I was expecting it. I was just like, hey, it's gonna come. I think it would be really cool for them to do that. It hasn't, which I think is unusual, and I think there really has, and that's for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think that perhaps that Ravenclaw person is involved in the trailer, or they want to save it. And they want to kind of be like, haha, so this is going to be your Malfoy. This is going to be your person. I think, that would make sense to me because, as we've discussed back earlier on in the stream, there's a lot of other things going on right now. And I think for something that perhaps is important to them and their storyline, this being this Ravenclaw companion, well, it could easily get drowned out with just, your poster reveal. So maybe they do just want to save it and sit on it until whenever they decide to do that. And but I was expecting the 4th. I would have liked the 4th. I'm still waiting for that 4th.
Yeah.
I hope we see it soon, but we're just, we are at their mercy in what they decide to do, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But,
well, let's do, we got the questions. We got exactly what we wanted. So
here we
keep
go.
rapid firing the questions, guys. If you want, or the super chats, we'll 1,000% read it. We're just going to kind of go through. Who do you think the Ravenclaw companion is? So we already talked about that, but the second part, if there's just one, even though Retro said there were multiple ones for each house, possibly, I think it's what Andy said earlier, and I think you'll have multiple that you can take with you. But this is the thing people got confused on. I tried to make it as clear as I could. I kind of went on like a journey with them when they were doing the character profiles, and I would make a video each time kind of changing my mind on what they're doing. But I had said, I think in terms of companions that have these quest lines, it is just these 4. That doesn't mean, like Andy said, there's not going to be other companions that you can take, but the ones that have these fleshed out stories, I know back in the day, our thought was maybe 2 from each house. We kind of went big. If I've learned anything from Gotham Knights, it's that don't expect, that too much, really. Not to go too in depth with Gotham Knights, but the side villains, they've shown 3 in terms of quest lines. You can kind of look at them as companions. That's probably all that's in the game. And people really thought there was going to be 6, 7, 8, and they only showed 3 out of the 6. But turns out they actually showed them all. So, long story short, I do think in terms of the in-depth stories, it is just these 4. I think people need to, you don't need to think whatever you want, but I do think if you're expecting a Sebastian level thing for 2 Slytherins and you keep going by 2s, it's not going to happen.
No, it's not. It's not. No, I completely agree with you, dude. I think you've got your main core storyline, and I think you've got these nice deep dive optional storylines, which you can choose. Yeah, you can choose to do as well. Like, I think that's pretty much it.
Felix,
Elwin,
6 months to brew. Do you think they'll follow us in the game? No.
That's actually a really good question, which I kind of was doing some mental gymnastics earlier when I was doing a little bit of writing. I'm really interested to know if the timers on the plants and potions that we had a look at earlier on the stream, and if you're just tuning in fairly recently, if you look in the room of requirement on the state of play trailer, there's a lot of timers after you plant plants, and you have to wait 25 minutes or whatever for them to be complete. I don't know if that is actually, I know that's game time while we're in game time, but what happens if we go to sleep, and we log off? Does the timer still tick down? Because I would love to log in, do some of my daily quests that we discussed, and then maybe plant some really rare plants that I'm sure we're going to get in the game, or brew some potions like Felix Felicis, which Elwin, great question. Is that going to take a long time? Is that going to take a couple of days, like Farmville or Clash of Clans that we mobile games that we've discussed?
Yeah.
And if so, is that going to run down on the in-game clock, or we're going to wake up in the morning, let's say at the weekend, and say, hey, I'm going to log in and going to play some Hogwarts Legacy. Oh, great, my potions are brewed because it took 24 hours. So I'd be really interested to know that. But I think those kind of potions, your Polyjuices, your Felix Felicis, the ones which have a lot of utility, for example, and then I think that they will take some time to brew.
Me too. It's a catch-22 though, because if they take a long time, people are gonna want to experience so much in the first, let's say, like 3 days of the game is out, right? So if it takes 30 hours, then it's like, oh man. But I like the idea of in-game clock. Animal Crossing does stuff even on the Switch, right? The different seasons.
For sure.
You can confuse, or you can game it where you can change the timer. So there's that.
There's gonna be so many people on YouTube, like money glitches, moonstone glitches. It's just gonna happen. Like it's gonna happen.
Wands, can they be customized allegiance, or do we start and end with the same? So my very quick thoughts that we talked about a little bit earlier. I think it's the same wand. I think they're gonna build some sort of I keep going back to grip. I think like a grip kind of thing you hold on to it can be changed, stuff like that.
Sure. I completely agree. I think when you go to Ollivander's, you'll have the choice of, what kind of wand you want to have. Really, I think customization is important in this game. And, I think that some people can go in blind, like get sorted blind, get your wand blind, fair, fine for that kind of authentic experience. But if you want to go in for like a certain type wand, then I think the game's going to allow you to have that kind of core wand. And then, as you said, Alex, I completely agree with you, dude. You'll be able to kind of add things to it, kind of, bells and whistles, which will increase stats in stats in some way. I love the idea, NCal, of kind of like having that allegiance to the wand. But I think you also I think the developers need to think of it from a mechanical gameplay point of view as well. I think that you need to be able to upgrade your wand and give it different traits, like you can see in the State of Play trailer. I think that's what's going to happen. So you'll be able to get I wouldn't say runes, but like a little bit like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, God of War, you can put runes into the weapons, which increase certain abilities.
God of War is really one of the better examples, because there are very few games where the weapon is so integral. Instead of it being like like swords, it's just like plural. There's all the God of War, like that. Those are his blades and that's his axe, and you're not going to change his axe, but you can add things to the axe, and that. For Hogwarts, it's pretty rare. You can't mess with the wand. You can't just swap it for a better wand later down the road.
For sure. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just stay with the wand design, like the Leviathan axe, but like when you go in to upgrade it, the actual damage output mechanically changes. So that would make sense to me.
Yep. Do you think we can get locked in the prison cell at Hogwarts? I don't think it'll get that extreme.
I think this comes back to like, the detention and stuff like that, and these kind of mechanics. If you're caught outbound, I do think there has to be some punishment system there. Like, otherwise there's no risk, is there? There's no reason to, if you're just going to run around the halls at nighttime and the caretaker's just going to be like, don't worry about it, dude. on your way. I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to have, I wouldn't say prison cell, but it'll be some sort of detention where
I think you'll be sent. I really think, either a detention or it'll fast travel you back to your room, and you'll lose. I'll even add on, you'll lose house points. So that's a fast way of implementing.
What a great idea! What a fantastic idea! It's very simple, matched up with the law. I think you're spot on, because we have seen those house point jars in like the State of Play briefly, like as a clip, right? Yeah. So I think you're right, mate. I think that would make sense.
Yeah. Do you think we can create our character personality during character creation?
I don't honestly think that it goes that deep. I don't think it's like I
don't even know what game can you
strategy game. No, like what's the recent what's that
Kingdom Hearts.
Not I was about to say Kingdom Hearts. It's like the best strategy game, because that you can literally choose all your traits in terms of kind of what's it called here, like Crusader Kings, right? So you can basically create your character, and you can be like, oh, I want to be tenacious, and I want to be strong, and I want to be this and all that. And those like have an impact in the game that you play politically.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen in this game.
Yeah.
I in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you had like this system where you could complete these. I've forgotten the bloody name, but you would basically rap against each other. What's it called if someone's played that game? And you would essentially level up your charisma in the game. And
yeah.
And basically what that would do, this is like the closest thing to a personality mechanic that I could see them implementing, is those were side quests and they were optional. So if you did do them, then you would raise your charisma, and then when you went through the storyline and popped up with a dialogue choice, which we've already seen occurring in game, there would be an option there for the charisma option. And the charisma option, if you had the appropriate level, you could pick that, and that would speed you up through the quest, and you would get to a better outcome. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised in this RPG game. Flighting, thank you everybody. Dennis, Ben, Than, Than, good to see you as well, mate. Yes, flighting, and I don't think we're going to be able to design our own personality, but I think there's going to be side quests which relate to a personality type, which can be used as a mechanic in the game to help you in certain scenarios. Is what I think. That would make sense to me.
I mean, and I think in terms of what they're talking about with like the character creation, I think you'll have different ranges of like the voice. You'll have different of that kind of like maybe pitch, but that's in terms of on that screen, the character creation thing, that'll probably be it.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you guys think Merlin is going to play a big part in the story or more like a side quest? It's going to go either way. Either James is going to be so mad or he's going to be so happy. I honestly can envision they don't mess with Merlin all that much, to be honest with you. And I don't know which way I'd lean more, but I really think it's not necessarily all or nothing, but it's either going to be, yes, that's secretly what this whole thing is about, is Merlin, or it really is just kind of sprinkled in just for fun. And we're reading too much into it. And obviously it can only be one of those two in my mind.
For sure. I mean, I would love to know more about him and what story they decide to tell about him in this game, because he's a big part of the wizarding world, like even outside Harry Potter, right? It's Merlin,
right?
So I think there's a lot of substance there that the devs and the story makers can kind of play with. But yeah, I would love James to be right. I think he's at the pushing this forward, and I love it.
He's the guy,
and I love it, and I enjoy it immensely, and I hope it's correct because I think it's a great theory, but I honestly don't know. I think some of the theories that he's come out with are top notch.
Even if it doesn't happen, I mean, the theories all still hold up, and you can,
for sure.
You can just say that you guys had it, and it was just a missed opportunity for them. Ravenclaw companion will be revealed at a PlayStation showcase or maybe a Game Awards ? Just to fire things up. Could be they're saving them for. I mean, imagine what we were talking about in the very beginning, like the extended gameplay clip, and that's when they just drop the Ravenclaw companion. You're just walking with them. Be bold,
for sure. I would love on that one real quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a smaller trailer, as we discussed earlier, before Christmas, but then we get the big daddy, 15-minute kind of gameplay trailer before Christmas. Like that's what I'm thinking. Because it's how long we've got. That's like 2 months now. 2 months of just like minor social media posts. I don't think so. I think we'll get something in between.
Well, and here's what I can fire this off on you, and because you cover other games as well. One of the things I've been saying too, which is actually kind of surreal, is, and you look at Gotham Knights, or I do as an example, we're almost done. Like, we're almost done because you have, like I said, there's gonna be a 2.5 week, 3 week break for Christmas, and there'll be, again, scheduled things, but nothing big. There'll be nothing big during that time. And when you come back, you're say on January 5, 6, 7, somewhere in that range, game comes out February 10th. But you can get it early access the 7th. Now, also have to kind of take some steps back and say influencers and reviews and previews, they're going to be done, in my opinion, showing off things in the middle of January. Yeah. Because once it gets to the last week, for a game this big, I don't know about you, but I would think the last week of January is when review codes go out to whoever.
I would be really interested to see what their kind of review process is, to be honest with you, because I think Horizon Forbidden West, they sent out review codes like a month in advance. So
Yeah. Some
that's
games feel very confident and give it a month. Some games, but
I
and
don't.
there's
Yeah,
also waves of them. Sometimes they'll give it to just the big guys, the big guns, and then they'll
yeah,
give it
yeah,
to like, the influencers closer to the game coming out. And,
for sure.
whichever group we fall in, or if we don't fall in either, which doesn't matter. But I guess my point is, like, really, I would say January 15, 16, 17, right in that middle of the month, we're done. You'll
Yeah,
learn things through preview events and through the
yeah,
reviews. But in terms of these 15-minute things we're talking about, that has to come before the middle of January. And then you also have 3 more weeks
yeah,
it can't be because
yeah.
of Christmas. So they
Right, and
actually are almost out of time. They really
yeah,
are.
no, you're spot on, mate. I couldn't agree more. I think that's probably why we're not getting too much content, I would guess, right now, because
Yeah.
they're kind of like trying to get everything prepped and ready to go.
Yep.
So that's fair enough, unless they push it back again. But I don't think we should talk about
Oh
that
my
right
God. That is another option there.
now.
We can join poachers if you look at Poppy's last line.
What does because I watched that earlier. What does Poppy say, Virgin?
God.
Um,
You'll have to
is
catch
it
us up.
the what? Or does anyone else know off the top of their head? You can join the poachers if you look at Poppy's last line. That would be really interesting, in a kind of mechanic way, because we've always talked about saving these fantastic beasts that we can bring back into our menagerie. I
Yeah.
can't see the game allowing us to hurt or kill them. I don't know. Maybe, yeah. I mean, we can kill bloody goblins and everything else of Avada Kedavra. So why not with some of these magical creatures and kind of like poach them that way? Maybe we can be a poacher. That would be really quite interesting.
What do you think about this? What would the odds be that there is no 4th? I mean, some people say as a joke. I do think there is some seriousness to it too. That maybe there's only 3. I just can't imagine you'd leave a house out. That would be so mean.
No, I think I'd be more than happy to eat my hat on this. I really firmly believe we'll have a 4th. Like,
Yeah.
I think
I do too. I just
think
wonder, is it like, is there a percentage chance, or is it literally 0? I'd say it's probably 0.
I think
mean,
I think maybe now you got me thinking. Maybe there's a slight chance there
is
isn't,
there?
but
I mean, the rule
I
of
just don't
3,
I
like
just
a
don't
rule
think
of
so.
3s. Like they go in 3s. So
Well, can you imagine proposing this, at the team
yeah, like we're
storyline?
literally
It's
gonna
like, hey
screw
guys,
over Ravenclaws. Like they don't
it's
care.
like
They don't matter. You know?
it's like, guys, hey, listen, we're gonna do 3 companion quests, which is they're gonna be fantastic. They're gonna be amazing,
Yeah.
and we're not gonna do Ravenclaw. Why? Yeah, we'll leave that one out. I just don't see it happening. Just don't see it happening.
Wand
As
cores important or not for your character?
Great question, Dennis D man. I say no.
Yeah, I don't think so
I
either.
say no. I think because the connection that you have with your Wizarding account has set the precedent of what is going to be transferred, including your Patronus. By the way, I think we're going to be able to cast a Patronus, but I don't think it will be like I think it will be corporeal, like mist. I don't think it will be like full form.
Yeah.
But that's another conversation. But like I just don't think it matters. I think it's kind of like I would love to see it kind of like give you like a +5 boost for something if it's known for that, but I just can't see that happening, to be honest. I'd love to be proven wrong though. More detail and customization, the better, but I just don't see it, to be honest.
What are your opinions on the Poppy is evil theory? I like Andy's answer honestly in the beginning, where I just think they know what we're talking. I mean, and it's not even really a secret. We've heard multiple times from multiple people that they watch our videos and which is cool. I mean, it's not a pat on the back or anything, but it's a really neat thing that they.
It's awesome.
It is, and it's that they know. So there is without a doubt they clearly know the Poppy thing. I mean,
for sure.
they just do.
And I love it. I love it. And I think that the community managers and the management team, like, Chandler in particular, like I really do think that they've got their ear to the ground, as we mentioned earlier. I think they're doing a very good job. Like, I think they're actual fans. They actually care. They're not, it's their job. Don't get me wrong. And they've got a lot of work to do. Don't get me wrong there. But I think that they get back to people. They're polite. They're engaging. They like to get involved. And I think, yeah, with the whole Poppy presentation there, I think that they just know that the community love this. Like I saw James earlier in the chat, and I think it's so cool that that's this all kind of started from him there. And they
I
just
don't think she'll be evil though. I really
sorry, getting sidetracked. I say no. I just think that poster is them just having a kind of internal laugh, like, haha, we know she might be evil, but here you go.
And we'll hear it. I mean, Chandler should honestly have so many stories to tell when the game's out. That should be
I would love to
really.
hear them. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear them. I'd love to hear them.
Guess on main story length. Main story 30. 30
I'd say yeah, like 20 to 30, I think, and I'd probably say between 30 or 40 for if you want to do everything. Like
yes, I think you match at least. You match.
I would say that like that's a reasonable price. Length. I would love it to be longer, but like I think that's a good amount for a single player game. To be honest with you.
Also, Ben brought up this point that you made earlier, the fertilizer, that it could speed it up.
Or an absolute cowboy, Benjamin. Yeah, fertilizer for some potions, including polyjuice potion that takes a month to brew, might shorten the brew time drastically.
Yeah, good point.
Another great idea, dude. I think you're absolutely right. I think if we were to just pick up that fertilizer that we've seen in the State of Play trailer, lob it on any one of those plants that are growing, we'll get them. I actually think that we'll get them in like 10 seconds, to be honest. I think it will be that quick.
Yeah.
Because some of the plants that were actually growing there, they have a utility in combat, like your mandrakes and your cabbages, the cabbages we discussed earlier, which bite people. So, I do think that if you want to run out, if you're about to go exploring and you want to have your 5 biting cabbages, then just lob some fertilizer on it and you'll have 5 ready to go.
Yeah. Ollivander pin we saw in the clip. Do you think there'll be a similar quest like with Haunted Shop, but with Ollivander's, where as a result we'll end up becoming his associate? How they choose to do the whole owning thing, I'm actually very intrigued on, because they've got themselves honestly into a little bit of a corner with the Hogsmeade one, because people associate it now with PlayStation.
Yeah.
So how far they go in owning and passive currency, or whatever you want to call it, like they need to. Honestly, that is a thing that they probably wouldn't care to talk about because it's not even that important. But they've almost gotten themselves in a corner where I think they need to talk about that passive income before the game comes out, because they've upset a lot of people with that PlayStation exclusive.
For sure. Of course, we've discussed that they don't have microtransactions in the game. That's a positive, but they are offering exclusive stuff like this to people who do have that particular console or to pre-order that game. It's not on the microtransaction level, but you're going to get some benefits out of it just by having that kind of exclusive content. And I think there needs to be some verification here, but I also think that we need to manage expectations as well, that hey, we're not playing on that console, then that person is who is going to get that. That's just the way that it's designed.
And I've always looked at it, it's not gonna be that, like, and they talk about you could sell things and buy things at better rates. I mean, it's not going to be like, so massive that it's absolutely insane. Like,
we're not going to turn our common room into like a Gringotts bank, I don't think. Like, let's put it that way. But I do think you're going to get some benefit. I think it is going to be a nice nod for those people who pre-order that way, but I don't think it's going to be game changing.
When we talk about, I don't know if this is right, loot guests. Do you think we'll have things like robe sets that we collect, like a set that enhances health or other stats? Is loot guest the right phrase, or am I reading it wrong?
I'm not sure what you mean there, Elwin, on the loot guests. I'm with Alex on that one, but you go ahead, Alex. What are you thinking?
I was just kind of reading it one more time. It's robe sets that we collect, like a set that enhances health or other stats. Yeah, I think there's going to be. And there'll be like enchanted things or legendary. I mean, I just replayed God of War 2018, so that's probably why it's on my mind. And I know both Andy and I are covering it on the channel. So, what do you think to that as a good example?
Yeah, I agree. I think, this isn't just like your kind of previous PlayStation, PlayStation Harry Potter games. This is a open world RPG game. There's going to be a lot of customization in there. and you're going to have a lot of robes and a lot of equipment that is going to be beneficial for different things depending upon your play style. So we've also seen in the State of Play trailer that we discussed earlier. Actually, maybe we get on the screen a little bit later, but there's the 3 choices there of your appearance, your traits, and upgrades. So you're going to be able to pick the traits of your armor, and that will include health, spell damage, what maybe an increase in transfiguration, charms, dueling, whatever it may be, and then you'll be able to upgrade that. So yeah, I think you will, Owen. I think we will for sure.
House points, yes.
I can't see them putting so much love and care into this game and not having a house cup or points or any kind of that system. I can't see it. I can't see it happening. Not happening.
Do we choose a background pure? Now we've talked. Now I believe all of us have weighed in on this in the collab we did last time. I think our answer was probably no, right? Because that has to do with our history, and that's probably told to us. Not we get to pick.
Yeah, I think this goes back to also that like the personality traits when we like create our character. I think we're not playing a strategy game here. Like we were talking. I was talking about earlier, Crusader Kings. I just don't think that we're going to go into that level of detail as much as it would be cool. But in these RPG games, I just really can't see it. It's not Fallout. I would love it to be kind of like on that kind of customization level, but that hasn't been shown to us so far. So I'm not expecting that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Jumping puzzles. Do we think there will be fun, secret jumping puzzles that'll take us to places where there is loot to collect or special items to get? I can see it. If there's parkour, climbing, jumping, whatever of any kind, then yeah, reaching unobtainable, lengths would be in it too.
It's another great question, Elwin. I think I saw a clip while I was going through the footage again earlier, and I saw a rock on the ground and a kind of like platform. I cannot remember the clip, but I know it's in the State of Play trailer, but we won't spend time finding it. But what looked like to me is a puzzle. Basically, you Wingardium Leviosa, the item in question, then you pop it on the platform. Lots of games have this where God of War actually does it as well, where you have to complete these environmental puzzles to kind of like move over or open doors. So I think we'll see a lot of them, to be honest with you, like a lot of them. I don't think it'll be on the I've forgotten the name of the game, which I really didn't like. It's the other Ubisoft game, Phoenix Rising. I don't think it'll be
Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Yeah. Right. I don't think it'll be that many puzzles, but I think that we'll have a lot for sure. For sure.
I can't wait to see you play the sequel. He's in the game. If Merlin isn't, I quit. And I like this follow-up one. Oh man, I forgot this live plan. Should murder Poppy. Some more Fantastic Beasts. Welcome, Poppy.
Guess I should murder some Fantastic Beasts. Fantastic. You know what? I've actually didn't consider that until we discussed it earlier. I'm interested to know if we'll be able to do that. Maybe we can actually kill Graphorns and moon calves. I know we're joking about it, but I'm actually quite interested to see if that is something that can be done. And is there any benefit of doing so? But we'll see.
The quote that Poppy said is, "Those who work with poachers."
Those who work with poachers. I think that's kind of like synonymous to the dark wizards who are working with them. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily us. I didn't get that impression anyway. I didn't think that we could join the poachers. I think they're just one of those factions in the game which is easy to have. Like you have your Inferi faction, you have your poachers, you have your dark wizards, you have your goblins. There's like loads of different, there's 4 or 5 different factions there which, as enemies. And also the corrupted beasts and your dragons as well. So there's plenty enemies there. I can't see us joining the poachers like something out of like Mad Max or anything like that. I just can't see us doing that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Seamlessness. Now this one's going back to God of War, the amount of games that have loading of some kind is most of them. You're honestly looked at as very special if you do God of War and figure out a way basically to go around it, which was genius. So sure. I would expect loading.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that they'll put some lovely, wouldn't say concept art we've seen, but there'll be some nice loading screens there, which kind of like captivate you. Even though it's on next, you play on next gen console, or whatever, I think they'll be a lot quicker. Don't get me wrong. Like even Ghost of Tsushima is old, but you can still like
Ghost does it kind of the other way, where Ghost is like, well, we're gonna do loading, but we're gonna make it literally as quick as humanly possible to get you from one to the next.
For sure. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I guess I guess.
Opinions regarding Black Lake? Can we swim underneath? Oh boy.
As I say yes, mate. I say yes. I think that will definitely be doable, but I don't know to what.
I keep
to what
going back and
end.
forth. Honestly, I keep going back into swimming underneath the water. They focused on, but again, but we're so close to the game, and if you can swim, and it's kind of integral to getting to certain underground caves and all that, I feel like you would have shown it by now in that state of play or talked about it. The fact that they didn't tells me it's not in it.
It's a good point, but we've seen so much water in this game.
I think you can. I don't know. I think you could swim. You just may not be able to go under.
Yeah, perhaps.
Boy, it would be great for them to tell us.
That's kind of like a bit like the old Assassin's Creed. I don't think this next gen game, especially with the common room underwater, and then we've also seen some fish in that clip like bobbing around, and there's like mer people under there, and there's loads of other stuff. I'm not expecting to see like a city under there or anything like that, but I do think there will be some secrets down there, or perhaps we can. What's the not the transfiguration on ourselves? Some of you in chat, you kind of know what I'm thinking. Breathing underwater. What's the kelpie? Not the gilly. What's it called? The gilly thing. You know what I mean? Off the top of my head. You know when you eat it, like
isn't it gillyweed?
Gillyweed? Am I right? Yeah, gillyweed, like that Neville gave Harry. Yeah, gillyweed. Oh, yeah, awesome. Gillyweed. Well, if that's the case, then I reckon it's quite an easy thing to just consume, and then just go swimming forever and just try and find some stuff. That's just purely because the amount of water we've seen. Because on the ASMR, there is a lot of water outside there. There's a lot of waterfalls. There's the Black Lake. They've said that you can go. You want what's beyond the Black Lake, and stuff. Quotes like that to that effect. But I say yes, but we'll see. We'll see.
Do you think it's feasible? The game? Oh yeah. Well, thanks for the super chat though, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, nice, Logan. Cheers, man.
He wanted it read so badly he gave the money, but no, yeah. I mean, it is, like I said, it is special. Like having it be seamless would be a very, very special thing. But the amount of games that do it, and again, the best case of having loading screens is doing Ghost, where remember with Ghost, like they couldn't even give you tips on the loading screens because you're so done so quick, Yeah. So, and there's and that's a thing with loading screens historically. That is the time for developers to clue you in on tips. And the more of those go away, they have to find a way of giving you tips without loading, which is fun.
Do you know what? That's actually got me thinking very swiftly about the fast travel system, like the Flue Powered network, which has already been confirmed with those flames. I think obviously we'll have to light them so we can bring them onto the Flue Powered network. But I'd love to be able to apparate, apparate around. I believe it's in law wise, it's not taught until the 6th, 7th year, I think. So I don't think it's like actually going to come into this game or be taught. But we with that ancient magic lightning spell, we do have that kind of brief apparition, if you want to call it. So I would love in the future. I need to manage my own expectations here, but I would love perhaps end game, when I'm going to run around and do all the secrets, perhaps we've got to the point where we can apparate and it's on a cooldown, so you can only do it once every 30 minutes. And when it's like kind of like a Hearthstone from World of Warcraft, where you would conjure it and you would transport yourself back 1 hour cooldown instead of flying everywhere, instead of flying back and forth. So I wouldn't be surprised if you charge up your power, and then you're kind of like, okay, right, I've got enough to apparate now, so I want to go here on the map, and then you suddenly appear like with a quick loading screen. I would love that. That's just a theory from me, but
yeah. Thoughts on? Thanks, Dylan, even though he's not here at the time I'm reading this. But thanks, man, for when you rewatch. Thoughts on a riddle bloodline
of the fourth companion? Yeah. So the I think it would be really like. I think it's going to be hinted at. It's a little bit like Merlin. I think they're trying to tell their own story here, if I'm honest, and I really do believe that. If you were to just start discussing the Gaunts and stuff and that kind of family tree and make it the focus of your story, in a way, I wouldn't say it's repeating, what we've already seen so far, because it isn't. But I think that there's a lot of the reason that they've chosen this area or period in time is to tell something a little bit different, obviously entwine it with everything else. But I think as for the fourth companion, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, a Ravenclaw with that kind of heritage, I think that would be super interesting and really contrasting to have someone of that heritage in a different house but Slytherin. I think that would be the kind of story that they would be interested in telling. So, I think
Ben
that's it.
pointed this out. This is good to know. The apparition license didn't require you to be over 18 yet. That happened later.
Oh, what a
There you
legend!
go.
Nice,
So
mate.
it's a
So
little more free reign.
coming in with some hard knowledge. Good work, good work, Benjamin. That is, mate. That's a good shout. So that is interesting for a fast travel, especially with those fast loading screens. But
People have
yeah, I
said
mean,
the bubble charm over the face.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that would work as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Last question I see: is there any change there could be? Is there any change there could be spell crafting in this game or a DLC/sequel? So we briefly mentioned this before. We didn't get too far into it, but what do you think? I mean, it is their chance to create some new stuff if they wanted to, and they wouldn't really be stepping on any toes.
I think that would be like too much. And in the menus, there's nothing on that toolbar which suggests that we'll be able to do it. Like there isn't kind of like a spells menu, is there on there?
Yeah, that's
that
true.
is there not? There isn't
Not on
actually.
that, unless it's unless
they've added it in. But
unless it's like a touchpad thing, or you have the spells on the bottom, and you pull up a wheel, and there's some crafting mechanic built into that wheel, something like that. But their best of both worlds thing could simply be the ancient magic, our new spells.
Right.
But that lightning
for
bolt
sure.
thing it's their creation.
Great point. Because we don't know the names of it, but they're just aggressive and cool looking spells, which can like fall into that category of ancient magic. It's like, it's a win-win for them. So I could not see like us jumping into this kind of like spell emporium and like crafting, a Sectum Sempra and then going to try it out. Like, I just don't think it's that kind of game. I don't think it's that kind of simulator. I think here's the spells that you can use and, enjoy them. In actual fact, I think there's over 23 spells, like I was looking at the other day there, that may be coming in this game. So, and I think we'll see lots more as well. And DLC sequel. We discussed this a little bit earlier, didn't we, Al? But like real quick. I think they have a good. I know Troy actually said that they'll in the interview with you, Al, that I don't think they were looking that far ahead or something
which I half believe him, but I also don't. I mean, and I think I just said this too for Gotham Knights because it's just about to come out. You do, and I don't know if I've ever actually maybe said out loud for Hogwarts, you don't spend 4 or 5 years, hundreds, not singular, plural, hundreds of millions of dollars making this to drop it off a cliff after this game. Now, you can take a lot of the stuff and use it for, like, does it have to be a Hogwarts Legacy 2? Not necessarily, but would there be another Wizarding World game from them that functions a lot like Hogwarts? Yes, because you just do not throw that stuff out. And you don't do it after one game unless it bombs, which it's not gonna happen.
It's not. It's like a gold mine. It's a golden ticket, isn't it? Like, it's just not. Like, it could suck and it could get the worst reviews in the world. Like, it genuinely could, and people would be like, I don't care, I'm buying it. And and that's just, they know that. I think they know that, but they are trying to make it the best game they can, and I think that's great. But in short, I do think there'll be a sequel, but I'm not sure there'll be a DLC within the year. To be honest, I think there will be like cool little like arenas, like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order did something similar with like a battle arena where they released that after as well. I think they'll probably do that as a kind of interim update. I know we've got the Dark Arts battle arena coming, but I think they'll do something. And as for the sequel, I think like maybe they, as you said, Al, maybe they go and do like a God of War and they just make it like a next one. But I just don't see that happening in this game. I think it's a challenging one, but I don't see it anytime soon. Is what I'm saying. Is what I'm saying.
Do you think we'll do these last two? They kind of are like. Do you think there'll be off-map locations except for Gringotts? And then Ben, do you think there's the Ministry of Magic in the game? I think the Ministry will be mentioned, but I don't think we'll go there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. I think there's a couple clips in where it shows Gringotts chandelier and the state of play trailer and stuff like that. And obviously with this rebellion and, you know, it being a major stronghold for the goblins, I think, and also I think we've even seen footage of those Gringotts carts and also underground.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's a definite cert in my eyes. As for like other things to explore, my understanding in terms of lore is there's loads of like small wizarding towns like around in Scotland, like which are wizarding towns which have Quidditch teams and stuff like that. I would love to see some of them like appear here in this game. And we've already seen like small settlements around, but we don't yet know the vastness of this game apart from that map clip from the behind the scenes trailer. And I've got a feeling that this game is going to be absolutely massive. In fact, I think they've said it's. Did Troy say it was massive? I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
if he did,
he
actually.
hinted that it's going to be a pretty giant,
It's
or
really
even
big.
Hogwarts itself is enormous.
Massive,
you know?
yeah. So I don't think you go and spend 4 or 5 years making this game and kind of make it Hogwarts, Black Lake, Forbidden Forest, and be like, job well done. I honestly think there's going to be a lot of places to explore here, and it's going to bring like a new, different environment to like this wizarding world. In my opinion, I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good time we hit the 3 hours. We nailed as many questions.
Yeah.
We did great. So, you know, if you guys haven't, I mean, looking at the comments, it seems like we share literally the same audience, which is good. And it's not, you know, shocking. But if you haven't subscribed to Andy Reloads, his channel's link, just hit the @ symbol in the description. Go to his channel, show him some support. And we've talked back and forth that we want to do more of these things, not just with Hogwarts, but also other games. We both are known for covering other things besides Hogwarts as well. So I'd love to have Andy back. Great guy, great creator. And so thank you, Andy, for any last thoughts, I guess, to the chat and people watching afterwards. You know, one thing to kind of throw that out there, the reception for this live stream did great. The one we did with all of us did fantastic. Lots of people, probably double, maybe, well, like, okay, the amount of views that got afterwards. Basically what I'm saying is a lot of people watched it after, not even live. So I just really appreciate, you know, if you were here, but also watching it, you know, a week from now, that it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I know once again, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you, and it's been a pleasure hanging out with everybody in the chat. It's great to see some of my friends here as well, and Chinwagon, and also a load of you I recognize, you know, in the comments from some of the videos on the channel. So cheers for stopping by, asking some really great questions. It's been great fun to spend a Friday evening just chatting about this game and what it may become, and it gets me excited, and also gets me excited for the future. You know, man, I'm really looking forward to having more conversations with you and also some of the other guys that we had conversations last time, as well as everybody in chat as well. I think this is a pretty awesome community. Like, it gets me buzzed, and I just want to say thank you to you, Alex, as well. Like, for all of you in the chat, you know, this man puts it on. He gets things organized, he gets it all scheduled, and he gets it together. So, like, really top work, mate. And thank you from all of us as well for putting it on. You absolute legend.
Well, I appreciate it. And Ben, you know, Ben obviously was here a ton. Expecto Go. Ben, I'm coming back. We did the tour. Actually, you know, with Andy, we completed wave 1, you know, of the Hogwarts Legacy tour.
Yeah.
But we'll do other individual creators. I want to get kind of pairs on as well of people. And one other final thing, I haven't announced it yet, but in a couple weeks, we're trying to nail down a date. I know I promised when we did the big collab, not to like put these people down, by the way. When I say like big and small, I'm not, you know, trying to like take shots. I talked about some of the smaller creators, ones that have like 1,000 to 5,000 subscribers, and they matter just as much. And I've been in contact with 5 of them. So much like we did, it's actually going to be a bigger amount of people than what we did, you know, with all of us. In a few weeks, it'll be me and then like 5 other Hogwarts Legacy creators, but the smaller, the more ground level kind of people. But we got that plan. So lots more stuff coming. I'll stop rambling now because we've been talking for over 3 hours. But
dude, love it. Thanks again, mate, and thanks everyone else. Look forward to some more Hogwarts Legacy and everything else, Chinwags, in the future.
Yes, thank you all for watching, and we will see you all on the next one.